Chapter 192. Another immortal sect Taoist robe. Everyone's eyes were filled with greed and fear. Did Yi Qinghan obtain the treasures of the Almighty? Whoosh! Emperor Yi dripped his blood on it and the immortal sect Taoist robe appeared on his body, making him look like a fairy. The holy light covered the sky and the earth, and no one dared to blaspheme him. 4 wings flapped in the sky like a fairy, dancing gracefully. How was this a ferocious spirit? She was clearly a goddess who walked out of the immortal realm. She made people admire and respect her. All the women were envious. Nangong Qingyue and Jian Qinxue were jealous. Yi Mengshi curled her lips, feeling that her brother was too biased. Made for him alone. Why didn't you make it for me? Brother, you are so biased. Yi Mengshi pouted and asked. You too. Yi Qinghan waved his hand and threw out an excellent immortal sect Taoist robe. It was just a pair of wings. 1 for each of you. Put it on. Whoosh! There were at least 10 sets of immortal sect Taoist robes. 1 set was enough to shock the experts of the immortal sect. Nangong Yuanhong's forehead was covered in sweat when there were more than 10 sets. Everyone from the Kuang sect put it on and dripped their blood on it. They were incomparably arrogant. When the wings flapped gently, the space shook. Damn! Where did you get so many immortal sect Taoist robes? Shi Ji's eyes flashed. He rubbed his hands and asked excitedly, Can you give me one? Yi Qinghan generously threw one to him. Countless people's eyes lit up as they looked at Yi Qinghan. They wanted to kneel down and lick his boots. How was this generosity? This was super forthright. Yi Qinghan took out more than 10 sets of celestial dipper gloves, all of which were of the 6th grade. Nangong Yuanhong was shocked. With such equipment, a group of children could exhaust the experts of the immortal sect. There were 3 sets of the best celestial dipper gloves. 1 was given to Emperor Yi, 1 was given to Si Wuxia, and the last one was naturally given to Gu Qingyu. These 3 people needed the best celestial dipper gloves. The rest of them had 1 set each. Together with the immortal sect Taoist robes, they could definitely kill an expert of the immortal sect. Gu Qingyu's domineering aura surged up to the sky. He dared to fight with the experts of the immortal sect. With the celestial dipper gloves, Emperor Yi had fused with his physical body. He no longer feared the sharp strings of the divine Gu Qin. His aura also became extremely powerful. Sect Yi Qian's was only envious and envious. Yi Mengshi was just Jew. Yi Mwith, Yi was, sect. And Yi Mzi was with emperor. With. Was divine. Was. The crazy sect's combat strength had been greatly boosted, and with Yi Qinghan's return, they were no longer afraid. They glared at the crowd. Those who have nothing to do with this, stand aside. Otherwise, don't blame me for staining Shaolong region with blood. Yi Qinghan's 7-foot heavy fist struck the void. The sky collapsed and the earth cracked. The great revered martial artist's blood turned dim and his body tensed up. Shura Qianye, Emperor Shenyi, and the rest had goosebumps. They knelt on the ground in fear and begged Nangong Yuanhong, Domain Lord, please save us. This demon is going to kill again. Domain Lord, please save us. Quickly kill this evil spirit. He's already dead. How can he be revived? He must be an evil spirit. The experts who had participated in the massacre of Owl Warstar had all gathered in the main region. When they saw Yi Qinghan's terrifying killing intent, coupled with the support of the Immortal Gate's Taoist robes, Zhong Kuang was even stronger than before. They instantly lost all will to fight. They all begged the region lord, hoping that the experts of the Immortal Gate would take action to suppress Yi Qinghan. Supreme Yi, I was possessed back then. I beg you to spare my life. I'll kneel and admit my mistake. Boom. Pa pa pa. There was also a wave of people who were scared out of their wits. They didn't dare to fight back. They knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. However, how could Yi Qinghan let them off so easily? The Great Yi clan, the 5th grade Shaozhanqing, tens of billions of people died because of this battle. It wasn't a few hundred people or a few thousand people. It was more than 20 billion people. There were also countless subordinate forces of Shaozhanqing that were slaughtered. Who could be so cruel? They were all a bunch of heartless trash. Nangong Yuanhong didn't understand the hatred. He frowned. He felt that Yi Qinghan's killing intent was too strong. How vicious was he? He actually wanted to stain Xiaolong region with blood. How much hatred! Fellow cultivator, you. Nangong Yuanhong frowned and looked at Yi Qinghan. He wanted to speak. Nangong Yuanhong, shut up. If you dare to speak another word, I'll kill your whole family. I'll slaughter your sacred mountain. Yi Qinghan's killing intent had reached its limit. He violently pointed his finger. His aura was so strong that it made the immortal sect expert's heart tremble. He didn't hate Nangong Yuanhong for not taking action back then. However, he dared to interfere in this blood feud. He was helping the tyrant. Nangong Yuanhong clenched his iron bones. When had he ever been threatened like this? However, Nangong Qingyue crazily hugged Nangong Yuanhong and shouted, "Grandpa, if you dare to interfere, I'll immediately explode in front of you." This is their personal grudge. You don't understand his blood feud. Back then, more than 20 billion people of Shaozhanqing, the 5th grade Yi clan, were all slaughtered in one night. However, you didn't come out to stop it. Now, you're standing out to speak. Who doesn't hate you? Nangong Qingyue was crazy. She could truly feel the killing intent in Yi Qinghan's words. She regarded Yi Qinghan as her idol. Naturally, she understood Yi Qinghan's craziness. Once he erupted, he would slaughter an entire world. Countless people of Xiaolong region would be bathed in a sea of blood. Nangong Yuanhong's breath stagnated. He knew Shaozhanqing. After he came out of seclusion, he knew that no one was left. He didn't expect that another person would come out today. Moreover, he came back for revenge. What status did he have to stop Yi Qinghan? If he spoke, wouldn't he be asking for Yi Qinghan's hatred and resentment? I won't interfere in this matter. However, give me an incense stick's worth of time. I'll move all unrelated creatures away from the Overlord region. Although Nangong Yuanhong was humiliated, he didn't want to be enemies with Yi Qinghan. He waved his hand and moved countless creatures into Xiaolong's sacred mountain. The corner of Yi Qinghan's mouth rose. His killing intent soared. Tonight, the Overlord region was destined to be dyed red with endless blood. The sinners of that year, none of them could escape. Who? Yi Qinghan exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. He held his blade with both hands and coldly asked Shura Qianye and Emperor Shenyi, "Who told you that I had the divine martial imperial code? And who destroyed the 8 trigrams array's cornerstone of Shaozhanqing star array?" Ge, the martial honorables trembled and their teeth chattered. Seeing that Nangong Yuanhong wasn't willing to help, they immediately felt despair. Evil grew from their guts. They gathered together and glared at Yi Qinghan. Emperor Shenyi sneered, "Yi Qinghan, we killed you back then. We can do it again today." Shura Qianye looked at Zi Yunsha and the others and enticed, "3 seniors, since we have already offended them, why don't we join hands and kill them? It's better than taking our own lives." Feng Sha sneered and said to the 3 immortal sects, "If you dare to attack, it won't be as simple as blaspheming the human emperor. I advise you to scram as far as you can. Even when the golden bloodline grows up, he might not remember you 3 worms." When the 3 immortal sects heard this, they immediately understood. That's right, the human emperor was still young. When he grew up, his battle strength would be unparalleled. How could he remember these three old things? Furthermore, Emperor Yi wasn't dead yet. Supreme Human Emperor with the golden bloodline, we old people didn't mean to offend you. We will scram now. Please don't take it to heart. Hong, the three immortal sects scampered away and didn't even dare to look back. Yi Qinghan's cold gaze swept across the three of them, but he didn't stop them. Today's mission was to dye the Owl Dragon region red with blood. He clearly remembered every single one of his enemies and participants from the past. The Grand Marshal Venerables who didn't participate in the massacre of Xiaolong region fled into the void. The main region was destined to be drowned in the river of blood. There was no suspense in today's battle. It was destined to be a one-sided massacre. Hundreds of clans and millions of experts all stayed in the main region. They glared at Yi Qinghan with no regrets. They only wanted to kill Yi Qinghan again. Since you won't tell the truth, what's the use of keeping you? Then die and repent in the endless hell. Kill. Yi Qinghan took the lead. The 7-foot berserk technique suppressed the heavens. Wherever it passed, corpses were torn apart and blood dyed the ground. Hong. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. More than 10 immortal sects' Taoist robes were activated and danced in the sky. More than 10 people surrounded millions of people. With the protection of the immortal sects' Taoist robes, Grand Marshal Venerables were nothing. Buzz buzz buzz, Emperor Ye's 4 wings fluttered as he soared into the sky. His burial emperor's chant had shocked the past and present. The Tao hearts of the experts in the main region were shattered as if they had seen the fall of the great emperor. They roared in fear and coughed up blood. They lost control of their chi and blood. The heavenly dipper gloves protected her fingers. There was nothing that could stop the explosion of Zither immortal crimson demon body. Kill those who have enemies with master. Kill all these shameless villains. Emperor Yi opened his eyes. Endless destructive aura swept towards the crowd. Countless people didn't even have time to scream before their bodies were penetrated and their vitality was immediately devoured. The golden bloodline was awakened. He punched through a Tao master expert. He was so crazy. Gu Qingyu pierced through the sky with his sword and killed a Grand Marshal Venerable. He broke into the group of Grand Marshal Venerables and swept across the land with his sword. Yi Qinghan controlled the 7-foot berserk technique with both hands. Baleful aura wrapped around the berserk technique and the berserk technique. The fierceness in his eyes was even more terrifying than an evil spirit. He stared at Lu Su, Azura Qianyi and Emperor Shenyi. Use your blood to cleanse Xiaolong region. In the name of berserk technique, I bestow upon you all an endless hell. The terrifying voice pierced through the universe. It shook the Tao hearts of the Grand Marshal Venerables outside the 9 heavens. They were extremely terrified. This was killing intent, this was killing intent. It was so powerful that even the heavens didn't dare to move. Boom! Yi Qinghan's immortal sect Tao robe was awakened. Divine light shone brightly. He used the extreme Tao divine dragon steps. His speed was unprecedented. He swept across the void and killed Emperor Shenyi. Shameless villain. I have treated you well. I helped you take down a 5th-grade empire and helped you cultivate. Yet, you repaid my kindness with ingratitude. This blade, slash for me. Emperor Shenyi was terrified. He raised his sword and slashed towards Yi Qinghan. His body was trembling. He didn't have any intention to fight. Boom! The berserk technique broke the 5th-grade war sword. The blade light pierced through the void and passed through Emperor Shenyi's knees. Everything below his knees turned into dust. Pale golden blood spurted out. However, Yi Qinghan raised his blade again. The power of heaven and earth was forcefully conscripted. Nothing dared to go against it. Chapter 193. Ah! Divine Emperor Shenyi couldn't even take a single blow, his legs were chopped off. The crazy baleful aura sealed off the life force of his legs, he couldn't even regrow his legs. He instantly roared in fear, his miserable cries filled the sky. As the emperor of a fifth-rank dynasty, you didn't care about your people and slaughtered 10 billion of my people. This slash is for my people. Hua! The slash spun and cut Emperor Shenyi in half. His energy ocean was shattered and his intestines were scattered in the air. His internal organs were all shattered and it made one vomit. Yi Qinghan's aura was terrifying to the extreme. He turned crazy and crushed everything. You don't know how to repent, you don't know how to be a grandmaster. This slash is for the common people. I'll grant you death. Hua! A cold light shone in all directions, illuminating the 10,000 miles of river in Shaolong region. The hearts of the people in the main region stopped beating as they all focused on this slash. Yi Qinghan came from the primordial desolate era and cleaved Imperial Emperor Ye's head into two. Before he died, Emperor Shen Ye's eyes were malevolent, filled with shock and despair. Yi Qinghan slashed 3 times as fast as lightning. The Grand Master's blood dyed the sky as he died on the spot. Die! Lu Su and Azura Qianyi charged from behind. Their powerful Grandmaster True Essence smashed onto Yi Qinghan's back. The immortal sect robe exploded with a terrifying aura and blocked most of the remaining power. Yi Qinghan suddenly turned around. His eyes were vicious as he looked at the two of them with mockery. No rush. All of you will die. The 3 masterminds were the people Yi Qinghan hated the most. He had to kill the 3 of them personally. Numerous experts below were killed by the people of Kuang's sect. Shi Gu also participated in the battle. With a wave of his golden brick, it turned into a heaven-covering weapon and crushed many experts. More than 10 immortal sect robes covered all directions, no one could escape. Emperor Yi suppressed the sky, the burial emperor chant, was deep and resounding, its murderous aura shook the hearts and souls of the heroes, anyone who dared to fly into the sky would only die. However, on the ground, Gu Qingyu's sword Dao was unparalleled, fierce and domineering. A single sword took hundreds of lives, blood gushing out like a broken dam. The Overlord region was dyed red with blood. Endless blood was used to wash away the sins of the mortal world. Screams and roars of struggle intertwined. Some people were repenting, some were cursing, but none of them could escape death. What was the use of repenting at this time? He could only die, and use his soul to repent to the endless souls of Owl War Star in hell. The blood river turned into a torrential river. It was so disgusting that it made one want to vomit. Yi Mingxi had only killed half of it when she ran away. She didn't dare to look at it a second time. It was too cruel. However, the other members of the crazy sect were in high spirits, especially Lin Wuqian and Stan Wuxia. They were extremely violent. Wherever they went, no one was a match for them. With the support of the celestial sect Taoist robes, they did not need to defend themselves. Their speed was as fast as lightning, and they were extremely overbearing. In the Star River above the Overlord region, even the great revered martial artist's face was pale. The others vomited and ran away. They didn't even dare to look at such a battlefield, let alone participate. Nangong Yuanhong stood in the void with Nangong Xiaobei and Nangong Qingyue. His heart was cold. If Nangong Yuanhong had really become enemies with Yi Qinghan, there might be more than one battlefield like this. The blood in the sea of blood might have flooded the Overlord region and rushed towards Shaolong's sacred mountain. The crazy sect. Truly crazy. 12 disciples slaughtered a Overlord region, millions of people. Tai Hua didn't vomit. He just silently watched the massacre. The celestial sect Taoist robes on his body emitted light, blocking the aftershocks. His wings automatically flew up, allowing him to hide to the side. Yi Qinghan. You will die a horrible death. Lu Su roared, his anger overflowing. Amitba. Yi Qinghan, you will be purified by the Buddha. You vicious evil spirit, the great Buddha Golden Temple will send a supreme expert to suppress you. Azura Chinya pretended to die. In fact, he was so shocked that he wanted to kneel down and beg for mercy. However, he knew that even if his head was smashed, Yi Qinghan wouldn't be merciful. Is this considered vicious? It's far inferior to the viciousness you guys forcefully imbued on me back then. Unfortunately, you guys won't be able to see my true viciousness. Lu family, great Buddha Golden Temple, I will uproot them and let their blood drown the souls of your clansmen. Yi Qinghan's killing intent surged as he pointed at Azura Chinya. You bastard, your mouth is full of benevolence, righteousness, and morality. You didn't hurt the ants, but you slaughtered billions of innocent lives on my Owl War Star. I will put you to death by 1,000 cuts. 12 consecutive slashes. Swish. Swish. Ah. You damned evil spirit. Ah. Azura Chinya screamed. The prayer beads in his hand scattered as he rushed towards Yi Qinghan. However, they were shattered by the saber energy. How dare you disgust me? I will make you suffer the most painful torment in the world. Yi Qinghan's anger reached the heavens. The person he hated the most in his life was not others, but this hypocrite who was full of benevolence, righteousness, and morality. This greedy and selfish person talked about Buddhism with him, but didn't have any Buddhism in his heart. God sees. Swish. A saber seized the will of heaven and earth, shattering Azura Chinya's leg bone. A heart-wrenching pain spread throughout his body. Baleful energy rushed into his body and wreaked havoc, tearing apart the Buddhist Dharma in his body. The torment caused him to roar and twitch, his eyes wide open. In the name of Berserk, gravity law, descend. Boom. The terrifying gravity law forcibly absorbed all the gravity in the master region. It tore apart Lu Su and Azura Chinya's bodies, fiercely crashing into the blood river. The blood river was pushed aside by gravity, rushing in two directions and drowning the master region. 1,000 times gravity. Descend. The two experts who were as strong as great revered martial artists were sucked to the ground by gravity. Their flesh and blood splattered everywhere. It was extremely difficult for them to struggle to stand up. Even their bones were crushed. The pain of having their bones broken made their eyes bleed. Their bodies twitched, and they could only scream and struggle. Yi Qinghan was venting and tormenting them. He didn't want to end them with a single saber strike. 10,000 times gravity. Descend. I want you to be smashed to pieces. Boom. 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 The earth undulated, and all the laws gathered. The waves of blood surged into the sky, drowning the masters of the master region. The crazy sect's disciples flew into the sky, suppressing the masters from above. Crack. Crack. Lu Su and Azura Chinya didn't have an intact piece of skin on their bodies. Only their souls were still conscious. The torment of pain caused their will to collapse, and they directly went crazy. Azura Chinya and Lu Su looked on helplessly as they were crushed to pieces, but they didn't die. The despair of knowing that they were about to die was definitely the cruelest torture. I've said it. I want you to die in despair. I've said it before. If there's a next life, I'll kill all of you. Yi Qinghan raised his head and roared. His hatred soared to the sky, and he madly descended from the sky, slashing at the heads of the two. Die. Those who participated in the massacre back then, I'll bury them one by one. Including your clansmen, as long as they're adults, I won't spare any of them. The overflowing evil aura caused Feng Sha's expression to change. This kind of murderous aura was hard for the young masters in their organization to resist. This kind of murderous aura could only be formed by the accumulation of endless hatred. Boom. The saber slashed across the heads of the two great masters, and the three great masters from back then all died tragically on the spot. Before they died, they received a message of endless hatred from Yi Qinghan. Their shameless actions back then had caused their clansmen to fall into a sea of blood. Before they died, their hearts were filled with regret and hatred. Get out of the way. Yi Qinghan held Zhong Quan in his hands and madly stepped into the crowd. Zhong Quan wanted to devour the blood qi and endless murderous aura, refining them for his own use. His hands and Zhong Quan intertwined and merged into one. He forcefully tore apart the great Tao of the Xiaolong region. What is he doing? The remaining several 100,000 masters saw Yi Qinghan raise his saber and slash towards them. They immediately roared in fear and anger. When you slaughtered my clansmen back then, their feelings were the same as yours right now. When they were begging for mercy, you were laughing. When they died tragically, you were spitting on them. There were still young babies among them, but you still killed them mercilessly. I can't be as heartless as you, but I'm more ruthless than you. Yi Qinghan's aura became stronger and stronger. His eyes were filled with ruthlessness. He dared to slaughter several 100,000 with a single saber. So what if it was the wrath of heaven? Extreme Tao overturning heaven style. I'm going to overturn the heavens. Yi Qinghan's voice was filled with ruthlessness. With a slash of his saber, heaven and earth were overturned. The waves of blood were split apart, and the saber energy rushed towards all directions. Puff! Countless people vomited blood from the impact of this aura before they even suffered the terrifying attack. Their Tao hearts were shattered by this murderous aura, and they were scared to death. Ugh! Nangong Qingyue was so scared that her face turned purple. She vomited and ran away madly, escaping from the sky above the main region. The disciples of the insane sect couldn't take it anymore. This kind of massacre was too cruel and heartless. Too ruthless. Only the two young disciples, Si Wuxia and Lin Wuqian, could still watch without blinking. Gu Qingyu was indifferent to the life and death of the world. Not to mention a mere million, even if the entire Xiaolong region died, it had nothing to do with him. Everyone else turned their heads and felt nauseous. Although Emperor Yi couldn't bear it in his heart, he still stood firmly behind Yi Qinghan. Even if the entire world was his enemy, he was still willing to stand behind him and be the enemy of all living beings. Boom! The saber swept horizontally across the sky. The saber energy was unstoppable as it pierced through several 100,000 bodies. No one in the world could contend against it. The main region fell into a deathly silence. Even the sea of blood stopped roaring. After a long time, the sky began to rain blood. Countless corpses rolled in the sea of blood. Hiss! Hiss! Nangong Yuanhong took a deep breath. His fingertips trembled as he looked at Yi Qinghan's back. Only then did he realize how wrong it was to let the Xiaolong region grow. Countless creatures died tragically, but he didn't even have the right to speak as the ruler. Fire! Yi Qinghan slaughtered countless experts with one saber without the slightest bit of mercy. His fingertips shook and a wisp of flame appeared in his hand. With a flick of his finger, the flame shot into the endless sea of blood. The fire ignited the vigorous qi and blood. The main region was drowned by the sea of fire and blood and rushed into the sky. The stench of blood and the smell of burning filled the air and rushed into the void. At this moment, no one was willing to look at the main region. Even the people on the Xiaolong sacred mountain could clearly see that the main region had become an endless hell. When dealing with the enemy, only by killing them in a more cruel way will they be afraid. If you are merciful, they will only become worse. Your kindness will only hurt more of your loved ones. Do you understand? Yi Qinghan said coldly to the people of the insane sect. Master, we understand. Si Wuxia and the others said loudly. It's good that you understand. This massacre has just begun. Tonight, I will dye the Xiaolong region with blood. Yi Qinghan's aura was gloomy and emotionless. He gazed at Gu Qingyu and said in a deep voice, "Brother Gu, you take Wuxia and Wutian to uproot the great golden Buddha temple and destroy its foundation. I will go to the Xiaolong star." "Good. I have long wanted to uproot this great golden Buddha temple." Gu Qingyu sneered. He flapped his wings and broke through the sky, disappearing without a trace. Yi Qinghan coldly glanced at Nangong Yuanhong and took everyone to the sky, shooting towards the Xiaolong star. Chapter 194. The skies of the main region were all red. An endless sea of blood roared as corpses and bones flowed with the waves. Soon after, the blood color of the main region spread to the entire Aldragon region. Some families felt guilty and drove their large cloud-piercing ships to escape into the void, but they were cut in half at the waist. Countless people died tragically in the starry river, their corpses floating in the void. On Aldragon planet, countless major powers were terrified. They all separated themselves from the families that had participated in the massacre of Aldragon planet and even launched an attack in advance. Before Yi Qinghan arrived, they had already been massacred. The Lu family was majestic and vast, but at this moment, it was lifeless. Lu Ning's immortal sect robe awakened. It flapped the sky and looked down on everyone. "Those who participated in the battle of Aldragon planet, come out. I remember all of you. Don't force me to capture you personally." Lu Ning was vicious and merciless. She wanted to take action in advance to suppress the people from back then. Even if she couldn't express goodwill to Yi Qinghan, she could still reduce the casualties. However, some people from the Lu family didn't understand her and scolded her for being an ingrate. "You have the immortal sect robe. Why are you afraid of Yi Qinghan? Why don't you dare to fight him to the death? You scum, you ingrate. You are a disgrace to the Lu family." Pa! A divine whip appeared in Lu Ning's hand. It was much more terrifying than the whip she had used before. It contained the laws of the Great Tao. This divine whip was specially made by Yi Qinghan to trap everyone. She was the last to awaken, so the divine whip was tied to her body and not removed. In the end, Yi Qinghan didn't take it away. Whoosh! The divine whip tore through the void and pierced through the bodies of the cursing middle-aged experts. They were all murderers who had participated in the massacre of Aldragon planet. With a move of her jade-like hand, the divine whip shattered the bodies of several people. Only their heads remained with malevolent eyes. "All of you, come out. Don't make me say it a third time." Lu Ning's killing intent surged. The sense of crisis made her feel more and more urgent. If she didn't take action now, it would be too late. "I admit my mistake. I did participate in the massacre back then, but my wife and children were not at fault." An old man from the Lu family walked out. "Not at fault? Then why did you slaughter other people's wives and children back then?" Lu Ning sneered and angrily rebuked, "Fourth grandfather, your 3 sons also participated in that. I'll give them 5 breaths of time. If they don't appear in front of me, I'll slaughter your entire family. This will save the innocent Lu family." Lu Sihai's expression changed slightly. He glared at Lu Ning and said coldly, "How many people can Yi Qinghan remember? This old man bore all the responsibility for that matter back then. If you want to kill me, come at me. You can't handle it alone." A cold and emotionless voice reverberated through the sky and shook the Xiaolong star. The strong warriors didn't dare to come out. Even the great revered martial artists were holed up in their families. Yi Qinghan took Emperor Yi and stepped into the Lu family's courtyard. His limpid eyes stared coldly at Lu Sihai with monstrous willpower. The horrible pressure forced Lu Sihai to kneel down. His kneecaps were broken. The ground of the Lu family cracked and half of Lu Sihai's body was buried underground. Endless gravity gathered. Lu Sihai, who was at the peak of the Tao Master realm, could not even move a finger. He was suppressed by one look. Lu Sihai was bleeding all over. His bones were all broken. His soul was in extreme pain, but he couldn't faint. Panic and despair made his eyes ferocious. Lu Ning's body was tense. She didn't expect Yi Qinghan to come so fast that she didn't have time to react. Senior Yi. Lu Ning wanted to save more people but didn't dare to say more. Go away. This has nothing to do with you. Yi Qinghan said coldly. Yi Qinghan spread out his divine sense to search for the souls he was familiar with. He waved his hand and hundreds of strong warriors were forcibly brought to the courtyard. They were all forced to kneel on the ground by the gravity. Lu Ning, leave all the direct descendants of these people here. You take the others away. I will only give you 30 minutes. If you dare to take one more person, I will destroy the Lu family. Yi Qinghan was still keeping his promise to the Lu clan. He wasn't prepared to slaughter the entire Lu clan. Today, he would repay this favor with lives. Lu Ning quickly organized some innocent people to leave the Lu family. After 30 minutes, Lu Ning returned to the courtyard and waited for the arrangement of fate. Boom! Yi Qinghan's will was overwhelming. The law of gravity descended and the entire Lu family's palace collapsed. Countless creatures were killed and buried along with the ground. Lu Sihai and the others roared. They wanted to struggle, but when they saw their flesh and blood turning into powder, despair filled their minds. Their hearts were filled with regret. Yi Qinghan watched the Lu family sink into the ground coldly. He turned and rushed to the Wang family, followed by the Zhang family. On this day, dozens of families sank on Owl Dragon's star. The total death toll was more than 100 million. The difference between this number and the death toll of Owl Dragon's star was huge. In Tianya Valley, two strong warriors were calculating with their fingers. However, endless dark clouds filled the sky. There was no sign of life. Death Qi descended and covered heaven's secrets. Their expressions changed greatly. Owl Dragon region is finished. The two experts said at the same time. Their faces were deathly pale. Only they knew that the entire Xiaolong region was going to be finished. No one could escape. Everyone was going to suffer, regardless of whether they were the participants of the tragedy of Xiao Zhanxing or the innocent people. I wonder if Tianya Valley can become a pure land. Ask the Almighty of Tianji sect to come and protect Yizi. We can't protect him anymore. Tianya Zi said in a deep voice. I'll inform him now. Tianji Zi was about to take out his communication talisman. However, a terrifying pressure appeared above Tianya Valley and pounced on the entire Owl Dragon region. A supreme expert descended. A true almighty expert who had lived for thousands of years. No need. I already know. A voice filled with vicissitudes of life exploded in Tianya Valley. The protective formation of Tianya Valley turned into rotten wood and was destroyed by a will. An old man descended. The supreme elder of Tianji sect, Tianji Dragon, had the demeanor of a transcendent being. His grey battle robe swayed in the void. No one knew how long he had lived and how strong he was. It was rumored that nothing in the world could hide from him. As long as he calculated with his fingers, no heaven's secrets could be hidden from him. Greetings, Supreme Elder. Tianya Zi and Tianji Zi knelt on the ground at the same time. They were extremely respectful. Get up. Ask Yizi to come and see me. Tianji Dragon said in a deep voice. At this moment, Yi Lingyu walked out with Yi Jianmo. He looked at the old man and bowed respectfully. Tianji Dragon glanced at Yi Lingyu and saw through his origin. There was a trace of shock in his eyes. So Yizi's vitality is in you. No wonder heavens will point at Yizi's vitality to such a small galaxy. Tianji Dragon's eyes flashed as he said in a low voice. The sky of Owl Dragon region was dyed red. Endless baleful aura rushed into the clouds. It was disgusting and terrifying. The massacre lasted for a day and a night. All the participants of the tragedy of Owl Dragon War Star were suppressed. Their clansmen were implicated. Countless people were frightened and relieved. Yi Qinghan and the others gathered. They were covered in blood from the massacre. Even their wings were dyed red. Just as they were about to leave, golden light paved the way in the sky. Strands of Emperor's might were vast and mighty, intimidating the endless universe. An Emperor-level expert had appeared. The great Tao of the entire Owl Dragon region was trembling. Tianji Dragon in Tianya Valley was shocked. An Emperor-level expert had not appeared for many years. What had alarmed such a supreme existence? Heaven and earth anomalies appeared. The shadows of divine dragons and phoenixes from the 9 heavens intertwined and circled around the Emperor. The Emperor traversed the endless universe and descended on this weak Owl Dragon region. He looked through the origin of the void and fixed his gaze on Yi Qinghan and the others. Yi Qinghan's pupils shrank. He saw the word kill on the Emperor-level expert's body. It was very similar to Feng Sha's, but more soul-stirring. It suppressed all the Tao in the universe. When the Emperor descended, the boundless might made people unable to raise their heads. Yi Qinghan lowered his head. This was not something that could be resolved with willpower. The Emperor's aura was vast like the universe. His appearance represented the appearance of the heavenly Tao of heaven and earth. No one could resist him. Greetings, Emperor. Feng Sha respectfully prostrated on the ground. Yi Qinghan immediately understood. This Emperor had come for Si Wuxia. Greetings, Emperor. Yi Qinghan knelt on one knee and held his blade to welcome the Emperor. The Emperor had sacrificed his life for the human race. He had fought in the Forbidden Lands and the demon race. He had suffered a lot and gave the human race a chance to breathe. He was worthy of respect. Regardless of whether they could surpass him in the future, they had to show him some respect now. Rise. The Emperor's surroundings were filled with primal chaos. No one could see through it. Only the word kill could be heard. The Emperor's might made the sky wail. His eyes were like torches as he looked at Si Wuxia. He nodded and said, "It is indeed the golden bloodline." Si Wuxia's eyes flickered. His entire body was golden. His golden bloodline was instantly awakened as he looked directly at the Emperor. "Child, are you willing to take me as your master?" "I already have a master. I don't need another master." Si Wuxia's rejection was straightforward. It made countless people go crazy. The Emperor had accepted a disciple. He had actually been rejected. What was in this brat's head? The Emperor was stunned. Clearly, he did not expect to receive such an answer after crossing the endless universe. "Is it him?" The Emperor pointed at Yi Qinghan. A strange look flashed in his eyes. He was very satisfied with Yi Qinghan's neither servile nor overbearing performance. He felt that such a genius was worth nurturing. "Yes. I only recognized this master and this group of senior sisters, junior brothers, and senior brothers," Si Wuxia replied proudly. The Emperor swept his gaze across the crowd and realized that Emperor Yi had his eyes closed. He was in awe of him but did not show any fear. Most of the others were the same. He could not help but be curious. How did Yi Qinghan nurture these geniuses? "Open your eyes," the Emperor looked at Emperor Yi and said in a low voice. There was a terrifying will that made it impossible for anyone to reject. Emperor Yi looked up and opened his eyes. A destructive aura pierced through the void and shot towards the Emperor. The space around the Emperor was blocked. There was no Tao. Even the destructive reincarnation could not pass through. However, Emperor Ye's eyes made him tremble. He did not speak for a long time. Although he was supreme and had a powerful will, he could not recognize the zither immortal crimson demon physique. He also did not understand why Emperor Ye's eyes were so terrifying. This is. The emperor was shocked. His eyes were filled with doubt. Yi Qinghan hesitated for a moment but did not reveal Emperor Ye's identity. It was not that he did not trust the emperor. It was just that he did not want to trust anyone when it came to Emperor Yi. Young man, this small starfield is too small. Are you willing to follow me into the endless universe? I am willing to nurture all of you and let you become unparalleled experts to fight for the human race. The emperor was very smart. He knew that these children had been completely subdued by Yi Qinghan. It was unrealistic to take one or all of them away unless he forcefully suppressed their memories. However, that was not what he wanted. Chapter 195. For the sake of Emperor Yi and the Golden Bloodline, he did not mind taking away a few more. Furthermore, Yi Qinghan and the others were worth nurturing. At the very least, they could become immortal sections. Yi Qinghan frowned. He did not know what kind of existence this organization was. It had appeared out of nowhere, and even the Divine Martial Emperor Code did not have any records of it. How could there be an emperor-level expert? Perhaps the Divine Martial Emperor Code had records of it. However, although the Divine Martial Emperor Code was powerful and could recognize its own master, it was not invincible. Yi Qinghan bowed and asked, "May I ask your name, Emperor? Who are you?" "I have yet to prove my Tao and am only a quasi-emperor. My name is Di Shang, and I am still 1,000 miles away from becoming an emperor. We wear the killer uniform and have been known as the Savage Hunters since the beginning of the Savage Era. Our duty is to hunt down the experts of the Fiend race, the geniuses of the Fiend race, and kill the ferocious spirits. The strongest young experts of the Savage Era are gathered here, and even the weakest of them is a supreme battle king of a region. Furthermore, we have to undergo strict tests." Quasi-Emperor Di Shang stared at Yi Qinghan and said, "The Fiend race also has an organization like this, but their duty is to kill the geniuses of the Fiend race. You cannot protect the Golden Bloodline. This little girl might attract the ferocious spirits, and the entire star field will be wiped out." Di Shang had never heard of his name before. He had contributed silently for the sake of becoming an emperor. Even if his emperor blood dyed the entire universe red, no one would know his name. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath. He was shocked by this organization. The weakest of them was a battle king of a region. How strong would the strongest be? Special constitutions could be found everywhere. Furthermore, he knew that Di Shang was telling the truth. The appearance of the Golden Bloodline would definitely attract the attention of the super forces. The ancient desolate slaughter hall had only arrived earlier because Feng Sha had informed them in advance. Otherwise, the Owl Dragon star field would have been destroyed by countless experts. The ferocious spirits and experts of the 10,000 races would have all gathered in this desolate star field. The only fortunate thing was that outsiders could not recognize Emperor Yi. However, there was no guarantee that someone would recognize him. That would be the real problem. Yi Qinghan really wanted to become a hunter. He wanted to hunt down fiend geniuses and ferocious spirits. Only by becoming a hunter could one truly reach the peak of the endless world. There are no rules in this organization. Strength speaks for itself. The more monster race geniuses you kill, the more contribution points you will receive. With contribution points, you can exchange for any secret technique or weapon you want. Gu Qingyu's eyebrows twitched. It seemed that he was particularly interested in this hunter organization. Being a hunter was the kind of life he wanted. Without being restrained, everything depended on his mood. Yi Qinghan asked in a serious voice, "Emperor, will this organization not affect my establishment of a sect outside?" "Let me put it this way. What you have joined is only the identity of a hunter, not our organization. Those who want to join must be above the divine martial realm. You also need to pass a test to become a hunter. Hunters are divided into 9 stars. You can only truly join the organization if you become a 5-star hunter. If you want to become a hunter, you need to exchange contribution points. Killing a Dao Master Spirit Beast will give you 1 contribution point, killing a Dao Master Ferocious Spirit will give you 10 contribution points, killing a King-level Demonic Beast Bloodline will give you 100 contribution points, and so on. 100 contribution points will make you a 1-star hunter. 1,000 contribution points will make you a 2-star hunter. 3 stars will make you 10,000. 4 stars will make you 100,000. Those who can become 4-star hunters and above are the true elites of the human race. Di Shang explained patiently. It could be seen how much he wanted to take in the golden bloodline and cultivate it. A sect with 2 emperors would be unparalleled glory. This level would stimulate the geniuses to constantly improve and kill demonic beasts to buy time for the human race. Therefore, the organization will not restrict you in any external matters. As long as you don't betray the human race, you can do anything. Di Shang looked down at Yi Qinghan, hoping to get his nod. The golden bloodline was too important. Feng Sha was excited. This time, as long as he helped the organization obtain the golden bloodline, he would instantly become a 2-star hunter. He would receive at least 1,000 contribution points. Brother Yi. The golden bloodline has already appeared. The ferocious spirits and demonic beasts will soon receive the news. For the safety of the golden bloodline and your sect, you should follow the Emperor back to the endless universe. Becoming a hunter is the lifelong wish of the invincible battle kings. When you reach the endless universe, you will understand how many people are racking their brains to become a hunter. Even if it's just a peripheral hunter like me, it's still an honor. Also, as long as you have the identity of a hunter, the human race won't dare to attack you. Feng Sha cupped his fists and said. Yi Qinghan and Gu Qingyu looked at each other. Their eyes were filled with fighting spirit. They were unyielding and unyielding. They were confident that they wouldn't lose to the geniuses of the endless universe. They could definitely become a 9-star hunter. Emperor, we are willing to go to the endless universe. However, we beg you to take the 8th rank Kuei cow from Owlfall Star away. It will be a disaster if it stays here. Yi Qinghan bowed and said. He wanted to fight for a chance of survival for Owlfall Star. There's an 8th rank Kuei cow here. Emperor Shang was stunned. Then, he was overjoyed. This was an unexpected harvest. In the blood prison of Owlfall Star, roar. The Kuei cow seemed to have sensed the terrifying smell of blood in the outside world. It wanted to break free and roared continuously. The entire Owlfall region could hear it. I'll take it away. Prepare yourselves. I'll take you away to the endless universe. The great emperor was overjoyed and stepped into the Owlfall Star. The star formation was nothing in his eyes, not even ripples could be seen as he stepped into the blood prison. The giant hand that blotted out the sky suppressed the blood prison, causing the entire blood prison to sink. The Kuei ox roared as despair appeared in its eyes. Submit. Or die. Emperor Shang said coldly. He broke through the blood sea and suppressed the evil fiend with his emperor aura. The Kuei cow that had been suppressed for tens of thousands of years was unwilling to submit. It roared and struggled. However, although it was powerful, it was facing a quasi-emperor that was half a level higher than it. Under the circumstances of a lower level, true geniuses could fight above their level. However, after reaching the divine martial realm, even the slightest difference would result in instant death. There was no resistance at all. Yi Qinghan quickly found Shirgu and Feng Wuxia. He wanted to bring them into the endless universe and work together to establish a 9th-rank dynasty that truly belonged to them. And they were the first batch of foundations. Brother Shi, Brother Feng, are you interested in going to the endless universe with us? Yi Qinghan asked. Shirgu and Feng Wuxia were overjoyed. With the Emperor's protection, they would not have to worry about high-level powerhouses in the endless universe. Even if they could not become hunters, they could slowly work hard. Of course. I don't want to stay in this crappy star region anymore. The endless universe is the place where we can witness the glory. Shigu said excitedly. Thank you, Brother Yi. I am willing to go to the endless universe. Feng Wuxia was overjoyed. The unparalleled Battle King had thought of him before leaving. This was already a great acknowledgement. Now that he wanted to bring him to the endless universe, it meant that he had already made his intentions clear. That's good. I don't have anything good to give you, just an immortal sect robe and a pair of Big Dipper gloves. Yi Qinghan smiled and waved his hand to give Feng Wuxia a set of robe and Big Dipper gloves. This made Feng Wuxia very excited. A 6th-rank immortal sect robe was even better than Nangong Yuanhong's robe. With the Big Dipper gloves, ordinary immortal sect powerhouses would have to put in a lot of effort to kill him. Hua, the Tianji dragon appeared with the two. It did not approach Yi Qinghan but stared at Yi Qinghan and the golden bloodline Si Wuxia. When it saw Emperor Yi, it trembled and its eyes were filled with disbelief. Sir, can you let that little girl open her eyes and let me take a look? The Tianji dragon asked in shock. Yi Qinghan looked at the Tianji dragon. He knew that this dragon was a terrifying existence of the Tianji sect. Moreover, the Tianji sect had always had a high status and many people did not want to offend them. Sometimes, even the Yao race had to give them face. Senior seems to have recognized my son's constitution. Yi Qinghan was surprised. This Tianji sect was indeed terrifying. Even the great emperor could not recognize Emperor Ye's constitution, but the Tianji dragon could. It was indeed extraordinary. Is it the supreme zither immortal crimson demon physique? The Tianji dragon stared at Yi Qinghan and asked in a low voice. Yes. Senior, please keep this a secret. Yi Qinghan's expression changed and he nodded solemnly. As expected. Does the great emperor know? The Tianji dragon asked again. Yi Qinghan shook his head. Sigh, it's better to keep this a secret. Otherwise, chaos will come early and countless living beings will die tragically. The Tianji dragon sighed. He was not happy but shocked. Yi Qinghan's expression was serious. He reached out and pulled Emperor Yi over. The zither immortal crimson demon physique was perhaps a tragic constitution. He himself did not have much confidence in protecting it. The Tianji dragon continued to scan the disciples of the insane sect. When he saw Yi Mingxi, he frowned and pinched his fingers to calculate. It was all hazy and he could not see the origin. When he saw Tai Hua, his face turned pale. He personally threw out a copper coin to calculate. Boom! The 9 heavens divine lightning appeared out of nowhere and tore through the universe's shackles. The Tianji dragon's skin and flesh were torn apart. His blood dyed the sky red. He spat out a mouthful of blood and his eyes were filled with fear. A divine martial realm expert. He could not even calculate the trajectory of a mortal. Instead, he was punished by the heavens. Yi Qinghan and Gu Qingyu looked at each other and looked at this weirdo. How many elixirs and spirit crystals did this kid eat? He could not even open his sea of qi. How could he injure a divine martial realm expert of the Tianji sect to such an extent? Yi Jianma's eyes flashed as he stared at Tai Hua. After a long time, he stopped talking. Yi Lingyu stared at the crowd. He had a strange feeling in his heart. Yi Qinghan could always gather terrifying geniuses or strange people around him. Cough cough. The Tianji dragon flew over from afar. His divine robe was torn apart and he was in a sorry state. He did not dare to calculate the trajectory of Tai Hua's life anymore. Nangong Yuanhong also came with 2 young men and a young girl. One was Nangong Xiaobei and the other was Nangong Qingyue. The other young man's aura was restrained and his appearance was very ordinary. However, the blood energy in his body was constantly burning. His black hair was thick and his black robe danced in the wind. He emitted a special charm. He was the number one of the younger generation of the Xiaolong region, Muyo Tianchen. Chapter 196. Yi Qinghan remembered Muyo Tianchen. When Yi Qinghan was conferred the title of Battle Monarch, Muyo Tianchen was still young. By the time Muyo Tianchen rose to prominence, Yi Qinghan and the others were already conquering the star field. Yi Qinghan had also met Muyo Tianchen when he was conferred the title of Battle Monarch. Yi Qinghan's impression of Muyo Tianchen was that Muyo Tianchen was not smart, arrogant, or overbearing. He seemed easygoing and unrestrained, but was actually very steady. However, Yi Qinghan always felt that this kind of person was a contradiction. "Brother Yi, I didn't expect to see you again." Muyo Tianchen cupped his fists and said. Yi Qinghan smiled and nodded. "Tianchen, it's been 15 years since we last met. Even I can't see through your cultivation now. It's just a coincidence. I'm not as lucky as you." Muyo Tianchen's unruly face revealed a trace of regret as he said, "But it's really a pity. I went into seclusion 2 times in a row and missed the opportunity to fight alongside you." "Ha ha ha." Yi Qinghan laughed. Indeed, Muyo Tianchen's luck was really bad. Every time he wanted to fight for treasures, he would miss the opportunity. He could be considered the most unlucky genius in Xiaolong region. "Tianchen, it's easy if you want to fight alongside me. Come with me to the endless universe. There will be plenty of opportunities." Yi Qinghan's eyes flickered. He wanted to kidnap this genius and make him a member of Kuang's sect. The corner of Nangong Yuanhong's mouth twitched. He only wanted to bring his disciple and child to meet the great emperor and obtain some opportunities. He didn't want to let Yi Qinghan kidnap his disciple. "Senior Yi, can we go too?" Nangong Qingyue and Nangong Xiaobei asked in unison. Nangong Yuanhong, Yi Qinghan coldly glanced at Nangong Yuanhong. He had long been dissatisfied with this old thing. He nodded without hesitation and said, "Yes, you can come with us if you want to go." Nangong Yuanhong's eyes twitched. He wanted to stop them, but Muyo Tianchen also stepped forward and laughed. "If we can follow the great emperor into the endless universe, we won't have to worry about the human race's experts. How can we refuse such a good thing? This is the luckiest moment of my life. Big brother Tianchen, we also want to go." Nangong Qingyue said coquettishly as she tugged at the corner of Muyo Tianchen's clothes. "Go play on the side. You are still young. Wait for me to conquer the endless territories, then I will take you to the endless universe." Muyo Tianchen did not hesitate to reject the request of the 2 followers who had followed him since they were young. "I don't want to." He wanted to go to the endless universe. "With you and Senior Yi here, who can do anything to us?" Moreover, Senior Yi had already agreed. "If Shegu and Feng Wuxia can go, why can't we?" Nangong Qingyue was already used to Muyo Tianchen's tone and didn't care at all. Her coquettish voice made people's bones go soft. Muyo Tianchen's face was filled with black lines. He hated this kind of coquettish behavior the most, because he couldn't resist it. "Tianchen, take him with you. The endless universe is the place for geniuses to grow quickly. Besides, people from small starfields like us are destined to be bullied." "There is strength in numbers," Yi Qinghan said calmly. When Nangong Qingyue heard this, she immediately looked at Muyo Tianchen with watery eyes. It was up to Muyo Tianchen to decide whether to take him or not. She couldn't change his decision. Nangong Xiaobei's eyes shone and he said in a low voice, "Big brother Tianchen, I don't care if Qingyue goes or not, but I want to go." "Hey! What are you saying? If I can't go, I will definitely pull you back. Don't even think about going anywhere." Nangong Qingyue was furious. This brother of hers was simply here to drag her down. Alright, stop arguing. When you reach the endless universe, stay calm. That place is not the Xiaolong region. Mu Yu Tianqian's aura changed. His entire temperament became dignified, and he no longer had the easygoing attitude. The corner of Nangong Yuanhong's mouth twitched. The three juniors had decided, and he didn't have a chance to speak. The endless golden era might really descend in this era. I don't know if the geniuses born in this era are sad or glorious. The Tianji dragon sighed inwardly. He stared at the sky, his heart filled with uncertainty about the future. Hua! Roar! A monstrous sea of blood rushed out from the Xiaolong star, forming a huge curtain in the sky that covered time and space. A terrifying heavenly bull that was bigger than a mountain rushed out from the Xiaolong star and rushed to the center of the Xiaolong region in the blink of an eye. Yi Qinghan and the others were shocked. They protected the group of little fellows and frantically retreated. Kuei Bull. My God, why is it in such a small starfield? The Tianji dragon was shocked. He waved his hand, and a huge 8 trigrams formation appeared in front of him, blocking the Kuei Bull's path. Behave! A dignified voice resounded throughout the Xiaolong region. The mighty emperor's aura suppressed the Kuei Bull's head, crushing its body and causing blood to splatter everywhere. Di Shang's intent shocked the Kuei Bull so much that it didn't dare to move. He stood on the Kuei Bull's head and looked down at everyone. He waved his hand and captured Yi Qinghan and the others. He then said to the Tianji dragon, "Kid, do you want me to bring you along?" Only such a terrifying emperor was qualified to call the 1,000-year-old Tianji dragon, "Kid." The Tianji dragon's face reddened as he nodded repeatedly. Di Shang casually waved his hand and the 8 trigrams formation shattered. The Tianji dragon, who was in the divine martial realm, didn't even have a chance to resist before he was captured and placed on the Kuei Bull's back. After reaching the divine martial realm, one would advance with each step. The difference between a quasi-emperor and a divine martial realm was not big, but the difference in strength was like heaven and earth. The Kuei Bull left Nangong Yuanhong alone in the astral wind. The 8th rank Kuei Ox's speed was extremely fast, causing the river of stars to flow in reverse. This was especially true for its 2 horns, which were comparable to emperor weapons. The group stood proudly in the wind. Yi Qinghan's eyes were filled with fighting spirit. The boundless universe, the place where countless people yearned for, was a place where experts gathered. The true geniuses would rise here. The parrot seemed to have been asleep for a long time. Its bloodline had broken through and entered the 6th rank. At this moment, it looked like a big rooster. It didn't see the situation clearly and laughed proudly. This divine bird has broken through. Hoo hoo hoo, the wind blew. Everyone looked at the parrot. They were all familiar faces, except for Nangong Qingyue and Nangong Xiaobei. Di Shang's eyebrows twitched. He glanced at the parrot and said, "Spirit-devouring godly eagle." "Fuck, great emperor." The parrot's feathers exploded. It jumped behind Yi Qinghan with a frightened expression. Di Shang. Wow, what a cute parrot. Nangong Qingyue was happy. She reached out to grab the parrot. Stop. Otherwise, don't blame this divine bird for being impolite. The parrot rolled its eyes. It didn't know her at all. The huge Kuei Bull was like a revolving star. The people on it weren't affected by the astral wind and were very stable. They all looked at the parrot as if they were watching a play. Yi Qinghan opened his eyes and said indifferently, "We're all friends. Don't be rude." "Oh, your friend. Your friend is my friend." The parrot immediately changed its attitude and grinned. "Quickly come to my shoulder." Nangong Qingyue immediately took a liking to this parrot and immediately reached out her hand. "Are you sure? I'm very heavy. I'm afraid I'll crush you." The parrot was cocky. It was afraid that others didn't know it could use the law of gravity. Nangong Qinghua didn't understand the parrot's scheming and said confidently, I can catch a dozen little things like you. Whoosh, the parrot sat on Nangong Qinghua's shoulder and used the law of gravity. Nangong Qinghua's expression changed and her legs trembled. Aya! Go away. You want me to come and you want me to leave and I'll leave? How embarrassing. Everyone from the Kuang sect knew the parrot was very cheap. Seeing Nangong Qinghua suffer, they all covered their mouths and snickered. Brother Tianchen. Nangong Qinghua wanted to cry. She felt like she was carrying a 10,000-pound sandbag. How was this a lousy bird? It was clearly an extremely dense miser. Mu Tianchen's face darkened. What kind of people were Yi Qinghan's side? Even a bird could bully people. He grabbed the parrot and threatened, little thing, if you dare to be cocky again, I'll pluck all your feathers. The parrot felt the spirit energy in its body quickly depleting and immediately knew that Mu Tianchen wasn't someone to be trifled with. It immediately became flattering and said wretchedly, I'm just playing with her. Don't be angry, lousy bird. Lousy bird, I'll ignore you in the future. Nangong Qinghua was furious. She had always been the one bullying others. When had she ever been bullied by others? Today, she was bullied by a bird. Yi Qinghan was also drunk on the parrot. It bullied the weak and feared the strong. It was simply a disgrace to him. Everyone laughed. Even Di Shang was amused by the parrot. The heavenly fate dragon was curious and wanted to study the so-called spirit-devouring divine eagle. The parrot escaped from Mu Tianchen's hands and ran to Yi Qinghan's shoulder. Only then did it notice that there were many strangers around, and they were all very powerful. Especially when it saw the heavenly fate dragon's eyes that wanted to dissect it, it immediately exploded. Damn old man, you dare to have crooked thoughts about me? I'll kill you another day. The parrot didn't dare to fight with the divine martial experts, but it cursed inwardly. With the parrot accompanying them, the journey was much less boring. The 8th rank Kuei traveled day and night, continuously traveling for more than a month. They crossed countless starfields, including some dead regions. Finally, they arrived at a boundless starfield. Countless vicious beasts flew in the sky and burrowed into the ground. They were of all shapes and sizes, and it was impossible to identify what species they were. Roar! The Kuei roared, and the vicious beasts fled. However, some vicious beasts glared at the Kuei and roared. A rare eagle's sharp claws shook the starry river. Its eyes were like torches as it flitted past the Kuei, as if deliberately provoking it. Di Shang suddenly stood up, his imperial robes fluttering. His eyes shot out a beam of light that shook the world. Great Emperor, what's wrong? The heavenly fate dragon's heart trembled. He felt a killing intent envelop him, and his expression changed greatly. The great Emperor was here, yet someone dared to kill them. It seems that the Supreme Yao experts know that the golden bloodline has appeared. They came quite quickly. This great Emperor is impressed. Di Shang's voice was majestic, and his aura overpowered the heavens. The entire starfield was collapsing, and the will of his eyes caused the great Tao to tremble. Di Shang. You knew that the golden bloodline had appeared, yet you dared to come alone to welcome it. Aren't you too confident? A voice exploded in the starry river, and the endless universe trembled. A supreme pressure enveloped the starfield, and the expressions of the eccentric sex people changed greatly. Chapter 197. The Demon Emperor had appeared. Azure light filled the sky as a pair of wings covered the sky. With a light shake, the stars were all disrupted by the wings. Azure Peng. The bloodline of the ancient Peng, a supreme existence. Screech. A sharp roar caused everyone to vomit blood and faint. Yi Qinghan bled from his 7 orifices and almost fainted. If his soul wasn't abnormally strong, he might have fainted on the spot. The heavenly fate dragon coughed up blood. Yi Lingyu's eyes were ferocious. The demon dragon saber wrapped around his golden body and blocked most of the soul attacks. Yi Jianma's sea of consciousness emitted a golden light and was unharmed. The Azure Peng had only let out a casual roar. With Emperor Shang protecting everyone, they couldn't resist. The Demon Emperor realm was indeed the Demon Emperor realm. A single eye's intent could suppress non-Emperor realm experts. Most of the Kuang sect's people vomited blood and fainted. Emperor Ye's divine zither came out of his body and emitted a divine light to protect his weak body. He was also unharmed. However, Tai Hua was a little terrifying. He felt as if he didn't have a soul and couldn't feel anything at all. His eyes widened as he looked curiously at the Azure Ping Demon Emperor as if he was looking at an ordinary bird. Shi Ji's golden brick shone brightly and protected his body. He retreated several steps with a pale face. Mu Yu Tianchen sat cross-legged on the Kuei cow. A scripture page appeared on his chest, emitting a supreme law that blocked all attacks. Even Nangong Qingyue and the others behind him were protected. Emperor Shang frowned. He had personally taken action this time because he was worried about the safety of the golden bloodline. He didn't expect the demon race to be able to stop them. Azure Peng, you came to human territory. Do you want to fight to the death with me? Emperor Shang emitted his emperor's aura to protect everyone behind him. The Azure Peng spread its wings and instantly arrived before everyone. The Kuei cow roared, not daring to blaspheme. The Azure Peng was a peak 8th grade beast and could be considered a quasi-emperor. It wasn't something a beginner 8th grade beast like it could compare to. In an instant, the Azure Peng transformed into a human. The wings on its back flapped gently, and a violent wind howled. Emperor Shang, I have to say that humans are really stupid. Do you think I'm the only one here? The Azure Peng mocked. Whoosh! Just as Qin Peng finished speaking, a figure filled with death qi and reincarnation appeared in front of everyone. There was no sign of life, as if it was formed by death qi. It was unknown how many creatures it had devoured to become so powerful. You dare to cooperate with the dead spirits of the forbidden area? Di Shang was enraged. The dead spirits were the mortal enemies of all living beings. These destructive beings that relied on the vitality and souls of living beings to survive should not exist. They were the mortal enemies of the human race and all other races. Dead spirits were faintly discernible. They were all extremely powerful supreme existences that were unwilling to die. They devoured endless life force and forcefully stayed in this world. Under the influence of the laws of the Great Tao, they could only hole up in a land of death without any life force, forming a huge forbidden land. They normally wouldn't leave the forbidden land, because their bodies weren't recognized by the laws of the Great Tao. Once they left the forbidden land, they would turn into rotten wood and be attacked by heavenly lightning. However, when necessary, they would leave their physical bodies and appear in an illusory state. Their strength would be greatly reduced. Therefore, the dead spirits all wanted to devour the great emperor's soul, seize the Tao fruit, and occupy the great emperor's body. Such dead spirits could run amok in the universe, no longer restricted by the great Tao. Half of the endless universe would be destroyed. The baleful aura of the dead spirits was too heavy. Even the body of a god martial realm cultivator couldn't withstand their death qi and would instantly rot. The body of a great emperor was their target, but great emperors were also their natural enemies. Di Shang wasn't afraid of the faintly discernible dead spirits. However, once he was entangled by the Azure Peng, the dead spirits could kill the golden bloodline and seize the golden saint blood to refine the golden body in the forbidden land. In that case, their physical bodies would be recognized by the heavenly Tao. It was no different from seizing the body of a great emperor. It wasn't that Di Shang was confident, but that he didn't expect the Azure Peng to be so shameless as to cooperate with the dead spirits. That was why he went to the Shaolong region alone to pick up Tan Wuxia. Azure Peng, have you gone mad? If it seizes the Golden Saint blood, half of the endless universe will be destroyed. You monsters won't be able to escape this calamity. Di Shang questioned angrily. Haha, this old man's time is almost up. I also want to go to the Forbidden Land. As long as I have the Golden Saint blood, I will have a chance to prove my Tao. I will become a true great emperor, go against the heavens, and live another life. Why can't I cooperate with the dead spirits? The Azure Peng laughed and looked at Tan Wuxia. His face was full of desire, and he couldn't wait to devour the Golden Saint blood. Di Shang sucked in a breath of cold air and looked at the Azure Peng in disbelief. He didn't expect him to be so despicable. He wanted to enter the Forbidden Land even before his Tao transformation. Are you still a boundary emperor expert? Where is your Tao heart? You haven't died, and you want to enter the Forbidden Land and become a dead spirit. You. Di Shang's anger surged, and his black hair tore through the void. He waved his hand, and all things in the void became weapons that gathered in front of him. He wanted to fight to the death with the other party. Kakik. Pedantic. All things are ants. Only by proving one's Tao can one defy the heavens. Only then can one live forever. Di Shang, you are really stupid. You have opposed the Forbidden Land for thousands of years, but you don't know that you are all raised by us supreme existences. You can never kill us, but we can exhaust your life force. Stop resisting and become one with me. I will let you witness supreme glory. The dead spirit's voice was ear-piercing, and it was like a sharp knife stabbing into everyone's heart. Emperor Yi held Yi Qinghan's hand tightly and used the divine zither to protect him. At this moment, other than the scriptures on Mu Yu Tianxin's body that could protect him, even Shi Ji's golden brick seemed powerless. Tai Hua was still looking at the dead spirit with his big eyes. There was no longer curiosity in his eyes, but anger. His sea of consciousness was empty and endless, as if he had no soul. He didn't care about the soul pressure and attacks of the emperors at all. Damn it! Don't forget that you were also weak humans in your previous life. Since you can't prove your Tao, it means that you don't deserve to prove your Tao. Why don't you reincarnate in peace? Why are you causing trouble everywhere? Di Shang roared, wanting to alert the experts of the endless universe to come and help. Stop struggling. Don't forget that there is still the supreme existence of the Heaven Secrets sect in the Forbidden Land. He has already seen through the secrets of heaven and let us set up the Heaven Prison formation here. Even if this star field is destroyed, no one will come to help you. Now, what you need to do is to hand over the golden bloodline, and we will spare your life. The supreme existence of the Heaven Secrets sect. Di Shang's expression changed drastically. No wonder they had appeared so timely. There were countless experts who had fallen in the Forbidden Land. Many emperors had defected and become part of the dead spirit. No one could escape the temptation of eternal life. There were even some experts who had reached the end of their lives who had entered the Forbidden Land before they had even reached the Tao transformation realm. They used the laws of time in the Forbidden Land to live forever. They relied on devouring the vitality of the common people to prolong their feeble existence, all for the sake of a slim chance of survival. Therefore, the Forbidden Land was the most powerful. Because there were too many experts, there were all sorts of people. There were defectors from various factions, and some of them even spanned several eras. Di Shang, let me tell you another secret. There is an 8-star top hunter in the Forbidden Land. Ha ha ha. You ignorant humans. You all look so righteous, but when faced with the threat of death, who would be a hero? The dead spirit sneered. Impossible. You're talking nonsense. A hunter would never defect. Di Shang mocked disdainfully. The wilderness hunter was an honor. So far, there had been no defectors. Countless humans revered the hunters. They would fight for the human race even if they died. How could an 8-star top hunter defect? I'm talking nonsense. Di Shang, The Forbidden Land has existed for eternity, as long as the universe. The wilderness hunters have existed for countless eras. How much can you understand? According to what I know, there is more than one defector hunter in the depths of the Forbidden Land. There are even Emperor-level defectors. When they were alive, they opposed the Forbidden Land. When faced with death, didn't they defect too? They feel guilty and are unwilling to come out, but that doesn't mean they didn't defect. The dead spirit said coldly, wanting to break Di Shang's Dao heart. Di Shang, bring the golden bloodline with us into the Forbidden Land. I'll give you some golden saint blood. Together, we can prove the supreme great Dao and strive for eternal life. Qin Peng tempted. He didn't attack recklessly, afraid that Di Shang would be injured and wipe out the golden bloodline first. Di Shang's lips curled up. He could see that the other party was also very cautious. Si Wuxia's eyes were like the sun. His golden hair fluttered as he glared at the evil spirit. He wanted nothing more than to soar into the sky and kill these disgusting bastards. Yi Qinghan's hair stood on end. He couldn't see any signs of life in front of him. He was completely unable to resist an emperor-level expert. Right now, he could only rely on Di Shang. But Di Shang was also in despair. No matter how strong he was, he couldn't face Qin Peng and a powerful evil spirit at the same time. Even if he could protect himself, he couldn't protect this group of geniuses, much less Si Wuxia. Qin Peng, aren't you afraid that I'll break the sky prison formation? If you defect before entering the Forbidden Land, how will you face the myriad races? Di Shang questioned. You can't break it. So what if you break it? I've protected the myriad races for 1,000 years. Even if I defect, they'll still be grateful to me. Qin Peng disdainfully replied. You bunch of idiots, you've all been tricked. That Forbidden Land is the place where experts are kept. You've all abandoned yourselves and become their pets. How can you still talk about proving your Dao? The parrot suddenly stood out and mocked. Spirit-devouring god eagle. I didn't expect it to still be alive. That's a pretty good treasure. Qin Peng's eyes lit up as he spoke greedily. AI, this divine bird is speaking the truth. You bunch of idiots, don't go back to the Forbidden Land. That place is a huge pit. Jumping in is like taking drugs. There's no way to escape. The parrot lamented the state of the universe and the fate of mankind. Yi Qinghan clenched his teeth and looked at the parrot. Although he didn't know what it meant, he knew that every breath he took was another chance at survival. What do you know? You're just a little bird that hasn't even grown out its feathers. How dare you talk about the Forbidden Land? Si Ling coldly reprimanded. This divine bird is the future all beasts' divine emperor. I know much more than you. Everything I say is the truth. If you don't believe me, go back to the Forbidden Land and ask those old geezers. Ask them if they regret entering the Forbidden Land. The parrot said in all seriousness. Also, I advise you not to do anything. Otherwise, you'll draw out a terrifying existence. Hurry up and leave. I'm doing this for your own good. Si Ling and Qin Peng were disdainful. The sky prison formation had already been set up, so how could a terrifying existence appear? No matter how terrifying it was, could it be more terrifying than them half-emperors? Chapter 198. The star field was boundless, and there was nothing else in this star field apart from powerful beasts. The parrot displayed its ability to bluff, scaring the emperor-level expert into a daze. Evil spirit, is the demon Sky Saint still alive in the depths of your Forbidden Land? We've been together for a long time, and he cries in his dreams, regretting that he went to the Forbidden Land. He wanted to die, but he clung to his last chance at life. In the end, he only helped others. The parrot's feathers exploded as it glared at the evil spirit. Demon Sky Saint. How do you know of his existence? The evil spirit's body was suffused with black death energy, and his eyes shot out destructive light. However, he wasn't as aggressive as Emperor Yi. I have a good relationship with him. Nonsense, you dare to trick me? The demon Sky Saint hasn't appeared in 1,000 years. How old are you? This divine bird is a peerless divine bird that has lived a second life. I don't blame you for not understanding me, but for the sake of the demon Sky Saint, I'll give you a word of advice. Don't attack, or you'll die miserably. The parrot spoke solemnly as if it was telling the truth. Even Yi Qinghan felt that it was very trustworthy. This was because when it spoke the truth, it sounded like it was trying to trick people, but when it lied, it sounded like it was telling the truth. The evil spirit didn't understand parrots and felt that they were being tricked. It was furious and said coldly, "Attack, I'll take the golden bloodline. You delay Emperor Shang. Damn, I can't scare him." The parrot's feathers exploded, and it hit inside Yi Qinghan's body. Yi Qinghan's mouth twitched. He couldn't argue with it anymore. His fate was no longer in his hands, and he could only resign himself to fate. Even the heavenly fate dragon was powerless, and divine martial experts couldn't fight against emperor-level experts. Even the evil spirit, who had left his body, could crush him with a single will. Yi Jianma gradually retreated. The supreme treasure in her sea of consciousness could save her soul, but it couldn't save her body. Once the evil spirit attacked, she had no chance. Yi Lingyu pulled Yi Jianma behind the heavenly fate dragon and waited for a chance. At this moment, apart from a limited number of people, everyone else had fainted. The divine Guqin protected Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi, but it could only defend passively and could not attack actively. See, Wuxia's entire body was enveloped in flames. Extreme yang qi rushed out of his body and resisted the dead spirit qi. He was unwilling to give up struggling. Go away. Taiwa clenched his small fists tightly and glared at the ferocious spirit. His voice was pure and there was not the slightest bit of Tao technique in it, but there was an indescribable will. The dead spirit was stunned. It looked into Taiwa's eyes, and the shadow trembled. It was actually a little terrified. Di Shang and Qin Peng trembled as they looked at Taiwa. Suddenly, they felt as if they were looking at a mountain, but the mountain was still there. What is this? Qin Peng and Undead Spirit spoke at the same time, their eyes filled with shock. Di Shang was overjoyed. Could it be that his life depended on this brat? I hate your aura. I told you to go away. Taiwa spoke again. His small hand involuntarily reached forward. With a clench of his small hand, the dead spirit roared as if its soul was being grabbed. It struggled crazily. The emperor's might was vast and mighty, shattering the stars in the distance. The powerful vicious beasts were shattered into pieces, and blood dyed the sky red. Hua! Divine light erupted from Taiwa's body, protecting everyone. The true emperor's might poured out, and it was 10,000 times denser than Qin Peng and Di Shang's. It was as if a true emperor had descended. His small hand grabbed the air, and he could actually grab the soul of the dead spirit. Yi Qinghan was shocked. Taiwa's sea of consciousness was empty, as if it did not have a soul. His body was immortal, so how could he grab the soul of the dead spirit? I hate your aura. Go away. Taiwa's immortal sect Tao robe awakened. He spread his wings and flew up on his own. His small hand clenched tightly, and the dead spirit could not struggle. Its soul collapsed, and it screamed miserably. The great Tao of the stars trembled. Emperor Yi opened his eyes and glared at the struggling dead spirit. The soul of the dead spirit was grabbed, and it could not resist. It allowed the destructive aura to enter its illusory body. Although it was not much of a threat to the dead spirit, it could still injure it, even if it was very small. After a long time, the body of the dead spirit became fainter and fainter. Qin Peng was terrified. The golden bloodline had not even made a move, and the dead spirit actually had no chance to resist. Its soul was grabbed by a little child. Emperor Shang was overjoyed. The parrot was right. A terrifying existence would really make a move. He immediately pounced on Qingpeng, wanting to suppress the traitor. Whoosh! A wisp of cloud turned into the most terrifying divine weapon, shattering the void and attacking Qingpeng. Whoosh! Qingpeng spread his wings, and his body awakened. His emperor body covered the sky, and with a slight movement, the clouds surged, and the stars exploded. Emperor light collided, and tens of thousands of bones withered. The two supreme experts killed their way into the stars, and the sky prison great formation protected this star field. The outside world was unaware. The Emperor light on Tai was body protected everyone. No matter how the dead spirit struggled, it could not break through the Emperor light's defense. Those who were still awake were overjoyed, and they all used their strongest battle strength to attack the dead spirit. The heavenly fate dragon was the strongest. Even if it could not cause much damage, it could still crush someone to death in numbers. Moreover, Wuxia directly tore off his arm, spraying a large amount of Sun Saint blood at the dead spirit. This was a fatal injury to the dead spirit. Ha ha ha, this divine bird understands the mysteries of heaven better than those old things of the Heaven's Fate sect. I told you that a terrifying existence would make a move, but you didn't believe me. You're only regretting it now. The parrot was overjoyed. Yi Qinghan was too lazy to pay attention to it. He swung his heavy sword at the dead spirit. Even though he knew it could not cause much damage, he still had to make a move. The golden brick technique shook, and magic power overflowed, covering the sky. The demon dragon blade tore through heaven and earth, fully awakening. It was actually a divine martial weapon. It directly pierced into the dead spirit's body and crazily absorbed his life essence. The scripture page on Mu Yu Tianshan's body seemed to be related to emperor weapons. It suppressed the heavens until they wailed. The dead spirit howled in grief. His neck seemed to be stuck. It looked like he was standing there, waiting to be beaten, but in reality, he could not move at all. I hate your aura. Go away. Tai Wa's gaze was furious. It seemed that this was the only thing he could say. He did not let go of the dead spirit's neck, but he made the dead spirit walk away. The dead spirit wanted to cry but had no tears. Di Shang felt that his rear was unharmed, and his confidence was greatly boosted. The more he fought, the more courageous he became. He crazily suppressed the green peng. Everything was an emperor weapon. The heavens collapsed and the earth cracked. Dead stars exploded. The green peng was unwilling. It originally thought that it only needed to delay Di Shang for 3 to 5 breaths. When the time came, even if the two great experts could not suppress Di Shang, it would be a matter of a breath if they wanted to leave. However, the dead spirit was actually restrained by someone and could not move at all. Kill! A furious roar shook the heavenly river. The kill word on the emperor's robe actually rushed into the sky and pressed down on the green peng. Damned dead spirit! Why don't trash like you just die? You can't even suppress a group of juniors. The green peng was furious. Its wings were suffused with green light as they swept toward the killed word. The heavens collapsed and the earth cracked. The stars nearby were all shattered. The aftershocks swept toward the Kuei, but they were blocked by the emperor light on Tai Wa's body. The Kuei glared angrily at the dead spirit. It stomped its iron hooves toward the dead spirit. In the end, it was a ferocious beast of 10,000 races and loathed the dead spirit. The mountain-like iron hooves smashed into the dead spirit's body, and the destructive aura tore apart the Kuei's defenses. The Kuei roared angrily. It spread its iron hooves and used its horns to fiercely attack the dead spirit. The dead spirit was heavily injured, but so was the Kuei. A large amount of destructive and deathly aura enveloped it, making it furious. The dead spirit still could not break free from Tai Wa's control. The veins on Tai's tender arm bulged, and golden blood flowed out. He was bathed in a river of blood, but he still gritted his teeth and held on. The violent heavy saber cut through the void and landed on the dead spirit's body. The terrifying aura rebounded and sent Yi Qinghan flying. His body exploded, and his blood dyed the void. The dead spirit's vitality was quickly being consumed. These little things were nothing to it, but if one of them injured its foundation, it would accumulate to a terrifying degree. Moreover, there was still the Kuei and the heavenly fate dragon. The damage to it was even greater. The Green Peng's lifespan was almost up, and it was unwilling to fight to the death with experts of the same level. Seeing that the dead spirit had no chance, it launched its strongest attack. Both sides were injured, and its emperor blood burned the void, taking the opportunity to escape. Di Shang was worried about the rear and did not dare to give chase. His figure flashed, and he appeared above the dead spirit. His emperor chi poured out, crazily suppressing the dead spirit. Roar! The dead spirit felt the threat of death and erupted with its strongest battle strength. It struggled to break free from Tai's shackles, but before it could react, it was shattered by Di Shang. Its vitality was crushed by the Emperor Qi, and a tenth of it was devoured by the demon dragon saber. About a fifth of Emperor Ye's eyes were destroyed, and the remaining vitality was completely wiped out by Di Shang. The dead spirit of a generation, who knew how long it had lived, died in such a sullen manner. Taiwa went limp, and his emperor light scattered. He was supported by the immortal sect robe as he hung in the void. Yi Qinghan gritted his teeth and rushed into the void to hug him. His eyes were filled with joy and heartache. After killing the fake emperor dead spirit, Di Shang was incomparably excited. This was not only contribution points, but it also caused the Forbidden Land to lose an important member. Once this news spread, the entire human race would be overjoyed. However, at this moment, the golden sacred blood and Emperor Ye's eyes were overshadowed by Taiwa's performance. Di Shang looked at Taiwa with doubt, shock, and reverence in his eyes. This child's origin must be extraordinary. He's definitely a Supreme Emperor's Dao fruit. But I can't recognize who he is, Di Shang muttered, his eyes filled with various emotions. Yi Qinghan was silent. He had only met Taiwa by chance, and because he pitied his helplessness, he brought him along. Even if he could not open his qi after cultivating for several years, he did not say much. He did not expect that today would be their chance to live. The karma of the great Tao was everywhere. Yi Qinghan's kindness had actually obtained such benefits. One had to say that his luck was heaven-defying. No matter who he is, he's my family. Yi Qinghan said in a deep voice. Since they were fated to meet, he would not give up. Regarding Taiwa's matter today, I will erase your memories. The Emperor's Tao fruit cannot be lost, or it will attract supreme existences to fight over it. Di Shang waved his hand and knocked everyone unconscious. They had no chance to resist at all. Only the divine zither erupted, and a strand of zither music spread out, shattering the starry river and blocking the quasi-emperor's attack. Di Shang had already been knocked unconscious. What kind of existences were gathered around Yi Qinghan? Each one was more terrifying than the last. You don't have to worry about me and Emperor Yi. Yi Qinghan looked at Di Shang and said in a deep voice. Chapter 199. In the endless void, a Kuei was galloping, turning into a shooting star. Everyone woke up from their coma. They only remembered that they had experienced a great battle, but they didn't remember that Taiwa had erupted and suppressed the dead spirit. Di Shang was pleasantly surprised and shocked. This time, his luck was heaven-defying. Killing a false emperor-level dead spirit was worth tens of millions of contribution points. This was something that many people couldn't obtain in their entire lives. Di Shang didn't care about these contribution points, but he cared about this glory. He cared about the glory of becoming a 9-star hunter. Right now, he was still very far from 9 stars. Now, the human race had an additional golden bloodline. Emperor Ye's constitution was unknown. Now, there was a great Emperor's Tao fruit. 1,000 years later, the human race would definitely be endlessly glorious. Roar! The Kuei roared, trampling the heavens and entering the human territory, drawing out a supreme existence. The Emperor's might was vast and mighty, and they all avoided it. It's an Emperor-level expert. Greetings to the great Emperor. The divine martial experts all knelt down, incomparably excited. There were still a few half-emperors and false emperors, but they rarely appeared. To be able to see one was a supreme glory. All of you return. Wait for the summons to begin the Golden Age. The human race is about to rise. The Emperor's voice was grand, rushing into all directions. The endless universe was restless, and the younger generation's blood was boiling. The Golden Age belonged to the young. The great Emperor personally spoke of the beginning of the Golden Age. Countless glorious existences were destined to appear. All hidden geniuses would appear. If they weren't war kings, who would dare to speak? Yi Qinghan clenched his fists, his clothes fluttering. Conquering the endless universe, this was the life path he wanted. He had already gotten his revenge, and now he was going to prove the supreme great Tao and seek immortality. A tyrannical aura rushed into the heavens. More than 10 young people were in high spirits, looking down on the common people, their blood boiling. The Kuei disappeared in a flash, entering the central imperial region. An enormous star was majestic and vast, incomparably grand. It was even larger than a star field, but its density was moderate. The laws of space were stable, suitable for the human race to live in. The vicissitudes of life filled the clouds, countless experts, and palaces towering into the horizon. The spiritual qi had already reached the extreme. Immortal mountains were faintly discernible, filled with mist, and waterfalls fell from the sky. Hong! The Kuei descended, and the earth shook. The Emperor-level star formation's brilliance, and the 8th-rank vicious beast couldn't even break a trace of the territory. Di Shang waved his hand, and the Kuei cow turned back into an imprint and hid in his sleeve. The Tianji dragon respectfully retreated with Yi Lingyu and Yi Jianmo. I'll arrange a place for you all to stay. This star is vast and boundless, and there are countless experts. It's not a single power, so you all must not be arrogant. Otherwise, you'll be suppressed by iron and blood. You won't even have a place to cry out for justice, Di Shang reminded in a deep voice. Yi Qinghan bowed slightly. As long as there was a place to settle down, it would be enough. The crazy sect would rise in the central imperial domain where thousands of clans lived. This place belongs to the hunters' territory. Hunters can be seen everywhere in the outer territory. Most of them fight on their own. Some of them fight in groups. As long as there is no large-scale infighting and killing, the organization will not restrict them. So when they encounter each other, they will endure. As for Stan Wuxia, Emperor Yi, and Tai Hua, I will personally apply for a 5-star hunting robe for them. No one will dare to be rude to them. However, you all have to fight for yourselves. It would be best if you can pass the assessment. If you can't, you can only leave the hunter's territory. This is the rule, Di Shang reminded in a deep voice as he looked at Yi Qinghan. The 5-star hunter's robe was a supreme existence. Just this battle robe alone could crush someone to death. However, Emperor Shang could not simply give it to others. Only Ren Huangyi and the others were too special, so he had no choice but to go through the back door. Yi Qinghan nodded slightly. He did not know if the others could pass the assessment, but he, Gu Qingyu, Mu Yu, and Tian Chen were absolutely confident. As long as they could establish a foothold here, they would be glorious. Di Shang arranged a single palace for Yi Qinghan and the others to stay in. This startled countless geniuses, and many people shot jealous gazes at Yi Qinghan. This palace was not good, but how special were these people to be personally arranged by a quasi-emperor? Where did this group of little guys come from? They don't look old, and their battle strength is not much, a young man in a killing robe said with a cold expression. Yi Qinghan looked up at this person and found that there was not only the word kill on his shoulder, but also a star beside it. It was as bright and deep as a star. This killing robe was a little different from Feng Sha's. Feng Sha's robe did not have a star, so he probably had not advanced to 1 star. Perhaps he is a distant bloodline relative of Sir. This kind of trash cannot survive for long in the central imperial region unless he stays in the palace all day. Another hunter looked at Yi Qinghan and the others with disdain. Geniuses look down on trash who walked through the back door the most. A 2-star hunter. A peak Dao master expert with terrifying battle strength that looked down on all living things. When Stan Wuxia heard someone insulting them, he turned his cold eyes and turned into a blazing flame that shot towards the people who were talking in the distance. An emperor-like will press down on everyone. A special constitution. You have a strong aura. Hunters were all invincible battle monarchs, and there were many special constitutions. They were all arrogant and unruly. Even if the opponent had a powerful special constitution, they were confident that they could defeat him. Who would be frightened by the aura of a little kid? Yi Qinghan smiled faintly and reached out to pull Stan Wuxia into the palace. Wuxia, no matter what they say, bear with it first. As a human emperor, you must have the bearing of a human emperor. When you reach the Dao Master realm, it will be time for you to shine. Yes, Master. I will not lower myself to their level. Gu Qingyu led a separate courtyard. Yi Qinghan sat in the front, while the others surrounded him. Emperor Yi was in the middle, Wuxia was on the left, Li Zhuchong was on the right, and Tai Hua was at the back. It was a completely defensive formation. Even if someone attacked the palace, there would be time to react. Back in the main hall, Yi Qinghan looked at the excited crowd, and his heart was moved. Everyone had the same idea. They wanted to go out and see the vastness of the central imperial domain and the invincible geniuses. Di Shang came back even faster. 3 very special 5-star killing robes appeared in his hands. They were different from the other 5-star killing robes. The other 5-star killing robes only had 5 stars around the word kill, but these 3 robes had 5 stars around the sun. As long as it was not activated, it would be dim and dim. Even the 5 stars would not be displayed. Once activated, it would shine brightly in the imperial domain. These 3 5-star killing robes are specially made for the 3 of you. They can block the assassination of divine martial experts. They have communication charms. If you are attacked by experts, the fake emperors in the organization and I will be notified. We will quickly come to your aid. These killing robes cannot be leaked. Once you die, the organization will take them back. Moreover, you are not allowed to use them to suppress experts at the same level. They can only be used to block the assassination of high-level experts. Di Shang warned in a deep voice. Stan Wuxia looked at the killing robes and grinned. He was very satisfied with the 3 killing robes. The others could only be envious. Even Yi Qinghan could not obtain such a supreme treasure. It could block the assassination of divine martial experts. Once it was activated, it would shake the world. The 3 of them put on the killing robes. They did not look ordinary. Just the word killed alone was even more murderous. The making and embroidery of these robes were definitely made by a supreme existence. The color of the 5 stars and the sun was about the same as the color of the robes. If one did not get close, they would not be able to tell that these were 5-star killing robes. However, Emperor Yi did not think that the killing robes looked good. He wore the immortal sect robes on the outside to cover the aura of the killing robes. This was because this robe was personally made by Yi Qinghan for her. Even if the killing robes were 6-star or 7-star, they were not as good as the immortal sect robes in her heart. Taiwa did not like the aura leaking out and also covered the killing robes. However, Stan Wuxia did not cover the killing robes. He felt that the killing robes were leaking out and had dense killing intent. It was very suitable for him. Yi Qinghan bowed and said, "Many thanks for your care, your majesty." Di Shang faintly smiled. He looked at Yi Qinghan and said in a low voice, "Young man, you were able to gather so many geniuses. This shows that your destiny is very deep. Although your talent is a bit lacking, I believe that through your hard work, you will have a chance to walk onto the human stage. You will follow the human emperor to conquer the 8 desolations and shatter the forbidden lands." Yi Qinghan clenched his fists. His aura could not be concealed. His battle intent soared into the heavens as he proudly said, "I will walk at the front." "Ha ha ha, you have pride, battle intent, and killing intent. I like it. Rest for a few days and prepare to participate in the hunter trial." Di Shang laughed and continued, "I know that you have just arrived at the imperial domain and want to take a look around. Then go. This old man will give you a message talisman. If there is anything important, you can contact me. You can also come to the imperial palace to find me." Di Shang turned and left. His majestic figure stood between the heavens and earth as he looked down on the heavens. Yi Qinghan looked at Di Shang's back as his battle intent surged. He raised his head and said in a low voice, "That's how a man should be." A group of people rushed out of the palace like wild horses. They were in high spirits. The 12-year-old Si Wuxia was actually a hunter. This attracted everyone's attention. Yi Qinghan looked around at the unruly young kings. He thought to himself, one day, the insane sect will stand proudly in the heavens and take in countless geniuses. It will become a grade 9 dynasty. "Hey, who are you? Why are you being taken care of by the great emperor?" A young man with dense killing intent stopped Yi Qinghan and the others and asked coldly. "We are also very curious. A group of children who did not participate in the hunter trial can stay in the outer palace under the guidance of the great emperor. What are you relying on? Perhaps you really are the great emperor's blood relatives. Everyone, let's not make things difficult for them. It's not good to offend them." Impossible. If they were the great emperor's blood relatives, the great emperor would definitely enter the inner palace. Why would he arrange for them to stay in the outer palace? I guess the great emperor found a genius during his training and brought them back because he was interested. Could it be that the great emperor is going to accept a disciple? Everyone discussed. There was doubt, envy, and killing intent in their eyes. Some of these people were geniuses who had not participated in the hunter trial yet. Some had participated and were eliminated. Of course, there were also powerful existences who had already become hunters. If the great emperor accepts a disciple, all the hunters will be notified and rush back. They will fight to the death for that spot. There is no news from the outside world. It seems that the great emperor will not accept a disciple. You are thinking too much. A powerful 3-star hunter appeared in front of everyone and said coldly. Yi Qinghan shrugged and said indifferently, "Everyone, we're not his disciples, nor are we blood relatives. We just happened to have some fortuitous encounters with the emperor and hitched a ride to the imperial region. So, there's no need for all of you to be hostile towards us." Chapter 200. The blue sky and white clouds seemed to be within reach. The sky was vast, boundless, and majestic. The palaces towered into the clouds. Countless experts were in the immortal sects, but they couldn't reach the peak in this vast imperial region. A group of elite geniuses gathered in groups of 3 to 5. They looked at Yi Qinghan as if they were looking at a country bumpkin. "Kid, which star region are you from? Since the heavenly emperor personally brought you to the imperial domain, it seems that you have some ability. If you pass the hunter assessment, are you interested in joining our Heavenly Tiger Squad? A one-star hunter arrogantly asked with 4 ordinary hunters. I'm Yi Qinghan from the desolate Xiaolong region. Nice to meet you all. It's my first time here. Please forgive me if there's anything I didn't do. Yi Qinghan didn't want to offend these super geniuses. Any one of them could be an invincible battle king in Xiaolong region. Hence, he took the initiative to cup his fists. Xiaolong region. What kind of place is that? Is there such a star region in the human territory of the endless universe? The one-star hunter frowned and didn't give him any face. I've never heard of it. It's probably some small star region that just formed. There aren't many geniuses there. A Dao sovereign expert can sweep through a region. Boss, let's talk about it after he becomes a hunter. Not everyone can pass the assessment. A member of the Sky Tiger Squad said. Although his tone was calm, it was obvious that he looked down on Yi Qinghan and the others. In fact, this situation was normal. It was difficult for a village kid to integrate with the geniuses of the big city. They were used to being high and mighty. The arrogance of the geniuses led to their attitude. What's so great about being a hunter? If my master wants to become a hunter, he can do it with a wave of his hand. Wuxia looked coldly at everyone and snorted. Kid, what did you say? Are you insulting the hunters? The member of the Sky Tiger Squad angrily rebuked. I'm not insulting the hunters. I'm just insulting you. Don't think that you're a genius. You've lived for so long and haven't even gotten a star rating. How dare you comment on your master? Who do you think you are? Wuxia stood out. His golden hair and black robe were fluttering. Fuck. A rookie in the Dao Master realm dares to take in a disciple, and a reckless one at that. I will crush you right now. That person was furious and walked out from behind. By June, just cripple him. There's no need to kill him. Don't say that we didn't give the great emperor face and bullied a child. Sky Tiger glared coldly at Wuxia and Yi Qinghan. His hostility was obvious. If a battle team member was humiliated, they would feel humiliated as well. This was the glory of the battle team, and they would not tolerate any blasphemy. The corner of Baiju's mouth twitched as he stepped towards Yi Qinghan and Wuxia. The invincible battle king of a domain had become an ordinary genius after coming to the sovereign domain. He was barely qualified to join the hunter team. His heart was already twisted. Bullying others and showing off his combat strength was his favorite thing to do. The members of the Heavenly Tiger battle team immediately surrounded them. As long as Yi Qinghan and company dared to gang up on them, they would definitely rush forward and attack together. Whoosh! Huang Xiaohu stood out and said provocatively, Kid, you're an invincible battle king of a Dao master. It shouldn't be a problem for you to fight 2 fate palaces, right? Come at me together. It's not a problem even if the 3 of you come at me at the same time. Otherwise, you'll say that I'm bullying the weak. Baijun sneered and said disdainfully. The members of the insane sect were not going to stand on ceremony. Yimengshi was the first to stand out. Then it'll be 3 against 1. I hope you lose. Your battle team won't act shamelessly and sneak up on us 3 kids. Yimengshi was very smart. She was the first to provoke the Heavenly Tiger battle team. Ha ha ha, if the 3 of you win, we'll turn around and leave. The Heavenly Tiger battle team laughed as if they had heard the funniest joke. Wuxia and the others looked at each other, revealing a sinister smile at the corners of their mouths. Let's go. The 3 of them said in unison. The law of gravity. Thousandfold gravity, come. Baijun was caught off guard. Suddenly, he felt as if his legs were filled with lead. They were so heavy that he almost knelt down. Boom! Wuxia threw a punch. His golden hair billowed. Flames shot out from his iron fist and golden light shone. There was a shattering sound of the void. Poof! Bai Jun's eyes rolled back. His body was torn apart. A mouthful of blood spurted out into the void. His body fell backward like a kite with a broken string. Whoosh! Yi Mengxi's body shot out as fast as lightning. Her true ether poured out and turned into a sharp sword aimed at Bai Jun's throat. Her true ether spread to his limbs and bones, sealing his sea of qi. Even if it was only for a moment, it was enough. Swoosh! Swoosh! Stan Wuxia and Huang Xiaohu followed closely behind. Both of them were extremely strong as they violently attacked Bai Jun's body. Boom! 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 Every punch landed on his body. His skin and flesh were torn apart. Huang Xiaohu borrowed the strength of the earth and punched Bai Jun directly into the ground. The three of them flashed. The battle was completely one-sided. Bai Jun had no chance to retaliate. He was beaten senseless. The members of the Heavenly Tiger battle team looked gloomy. This was probably a sneak attack. One of them used the law of gravity while the other two attacked at the same time. Bai Jun had no chance to retaliate at all. But who could they blame for this? How many people could comprehend the law of gravity in the Fate Palace realm? Only a small number of supreme geniuses like them could comprehend the law of great Tao in the Tao Master realm. Therefore, Bai Jun could only blame himself for being unlucky to have encountered such a genius. Yi Qinghan and the rest squinted at Heavenly Tiger. If the other party dared to attack, they would naturally attack together. Enough! Heavenly Tiger scolded coldly. But how could Stan Wuxia and the rest listen to him? His punches were even more violent and ferocious. He even activated the grade 6 Celestial Dipper Glove and beat Bai Jun until he screamed in pain. The people around looked at each other. Everyone understood why Bai Jun lost so badly. It was because he did not look at the almanac. He encountered one who knew the law of gravity. Another was extremely strong. Another was extremely fast. It was impossible to defend against. What the people did not know was that Stan Wuxia did not use his full strength. Otherwise, he would have suppressed Bai Jun's blood with his golden bloodline alone. After fighting for so long, Bai Jun would have died long ago. Heavenly Tiger was not in a position to attack. He looked coldly at Yi Qinghan. His eyes were filled with killing intent. Yi Qinghan smirked. Since he had offended these people, he might as well offend them. It was a good opportunity to establish his authority and prevent others from bumping into the muzzle of a gun. Boy, are you going to fight to the death with us? Heavenly Tiger frowned and threatened. Swoosh! Yi Qinghan raised his hand and Berserker appeared in his hand. His aura changed drastically. He looked down at the Heavenly Tiger team and said coldly, since he dares to provoke us, he should be prepared to be beaten up. Do you want to be beaten up too? Berserker. Everyone could not help but look at Yi Qinghan. There were not many young people who dared to speak to a one-star hunter like this. Yi Qinghan might be the first. Some powerful existences stared at Yi Qinghan. They were all planning in their hearts. If Yi Qinghan could kill Heavenly Tiger, then they would spend a lot of effort to pull Yi Qinghan into their team. The individual strength of a team had a fatal impact on the team's overall strength. They did not want trash, only true geniuses. Heavenly Tiger's aura stagnated. He was suppressed by Berserker and Yi Qinghan's aura. His terrifying aura rose sharply. He wanted to use the momentum of heaven and earth to suppress Yi Qinghan. Sang, some of the geniuses who had not yet passed the assessment did not dare to offend Heavenly Tiger. They could not withstand Heavenly Tiger's murderous aura and retreated. Mu Yu Tianchen and Gu Qingyu protected the juniors behind them. Their clothes fluttered in the wind, but they did not have any aura. They did not want to interfere in the battle of auras between the two experts. Yi Qinghan laughed and stepped forward calmly. A violent aura shot up into the sky and forcefully tore apart half of the momentum. He collided with the heavenly tiger, causing the stable ground beneath his feet to shatter. They were too weak to awaken the Emperor's formation. Layers of ripples spread out in the stable space. Both of their auras were about the same. Neither of them was willing to retreat. Interesting. He has not become a hunter, nor has he been baptized by the organization's murderous aura. Just his aura alone is comparable to heavenly tigers. I wonder what his true strength is. A 2-star hunter said with interest. Not bad. Just his aura alone shows that his strength is not bad. If he can pass the assessment, I might let him join my demon-slaying battle team. A terrifying young genius looked at Yi Qinghan coldly. There was admiration in his eyes. Yi Qinghan's strength had not entered the eyes of true peerless geniuses. However, all the battle teams below 3 stars were interested in Yi Qinghan. Fight. It's better to fight with anger. Fuck, is he a hunter? Yeah, Heavenly Tiger, your team members have been beaten to a pulp. What are you waiting for? What the fuck? Can he kill them with his aura alone? Can't you see that he doesn't even look at you? Many people were watching the show and mocked Heavenly Tiger. They wanted him to test Yi Qinghan's strength. There were also some who wanted to teach Yi Qinghan a lesson. After all, they were all hunters. Boom. See Wuxia sent by June flying with a punch and shrugged his shoulders in disdain. This kind of invincible combat king lacked a foundation. He was not like the invincible geniuses of the big clans. The 3 juniors had arrogant looks on their faces as they rubbed their fists and returned to the group. 5 or 6 members of the Heavenly Tiger battle team looked gloomy as they glared at Yi Qinghan. They were waiting for Heavenly Tiger to give the order to crush these juniors. Boss. Let's fight. These guys are too arrogant. Coincidentally, I don't have any missions for the next few days. I want to stretch my muscles. The 5 members of the Heavenly Tiger battle team shook their bodies and summoned their natal weapons. They glared at Yi Qinghan and the others. Yi Qinghan looked at the members of the Heavenly Tiger battle team with disdain. He said indifferently, Heavenly Tiger battle team. The one behind me is called Quanzong. If you want to fight, you can fight one-on-one or in groups. Quanzong. You're really arrogant. I just don't know if you have the qualifications to do so. Or do you think that the great emperor will intervene in the battle of the younger generation? Heavenly Tiger sneered with killing intent. There's no need for the great emperor to intervene. I'm confident in dealing with the Heavenly Tiger battle team, Yi Qinghan replied indifferently. Then I'll test you. I'll see if you have the qualifications to join the ranks of the hunters. Heavenly Tiger's aura suppressed most of the people. Only a few 1-star existences and above stood proudly and looked at the crowd indifferently. Kid, did you forget to check the almanac when you went out? You look like you're asking for a beating. The parrot popped its head out and scolded. Chapter 201. As soon as the parrot appeared, the atmosphere suddenly changed. Sky Tiger and the others were already angry. Now that they were being scolded by a bird, they could not help but be furious. Everyone disperse, don't block us from watching the show. A guy who was not on good terms with Sky Tiger laughed loudly. Apparently, he was treating Yi Qinghan and the others like monkeys. Yi Qinghan's aura turned cold as he stared at that guy with murderous eyes. His name was Long Biao, and he was not on good terms with Sky Tiger. However, his brain was not very good. In this kind of situation, he actually said that he was going to watch a good show. You idiot, watch your sister's show. Watch a monkey show. Why don't you show this divine bird? The parrot unceremoniously mocked. Uncle, this uncle didn't even say anything, what the hell are you talking about? If you don't like this team, then fight them yourself. Otherwise, don't talk nonsense on the side. Shigu angrily rebuked as he raised his brick. Long Biao's face suddenly sank. Idiot, you deserve to be scolded. I really don't know how you cultivated to this level. Sky Tiger coldly looked at Long Biao and angrily rebuked, our younger generation is indeed a bit hot-tempered, arrogant and unruly. However, I did not insult their dignity. No wonder you couldn't pass the assessment. With your attitude, you were able to be crowned king because of your family's background. Long Biao did not think that he would be implicated. Both sides were targeting him at the same time. He could not help but feel a little weak. The others were even more angry at him, thinking that he had ruined the show. You want to bully us with your numbers. Although this young master is alone, he is not afraid of you. Long Biao angrily glared at Yi Qinghan and the others. Even if they were not hunters, they were not afraid of Sky Tiger team. It seemed that the Long family's background was not small. Why would I need so many people to fight you? Sky Tiger disdainfully ridiculed. The corner of Long Biao's mouth twitched. He had relied on his family to fight Sky Tiger for many years, but he had never won. Now that he was in the wrong, he did not dare to fight. In the end, he could only run away under the angry gazes of the crowd. After what Long Biao said, Yi Qinghan looked at Sky Tiger again. He didn't think that Sky Tiger was that bad. He was just too arrogant with his mouth. Sky Tiger looked at Yi Qinghan and the others who didn't hold back against Long Biao. He felt that Yi Qinghan wasn't that bad after all. He was just angered by his words. Both sides' tempers swiftly declined, and only Bai Jun admitted that he was unlucky. He was bashed wildly by 3 juniors to the point his entire body was bathed in a river of blood, and he was in an extremely sorry state. Let's talk about that after you take the test. I want to see if you have the right to be so arrogant. If you pass the test, I will apologize to you. If you fail, don't blame me for being impolite. Tian, who said ruthlessly and left with Bai Jun. Yi Qinghan also didn't want to fight with the crowd in such a situation. Seeing that Sky Tiger had left, he also left with the crowd. Emperor Abyss City was the largest city within a radius of 1,000,000 miles. It was a gathering place for heroes, and there were as many elites as dogs. If one didn't have some combat strength, he would be too embarrassed to go out for a stroll. Yi Qinghan and the others brought a group of young fellows to the front of Emperor Abyss City. They were shocked by the vastness and majesty of this place. The vicissitudes of time filled the air, and it contained the patterns of the great Tao. It was shocking. Looking at it would give one more insight. It is indeed the Central Imperial region. A city has such achievements. How glorious is the human civilization. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath. What he saw was only the tip of the iceberg, and this city was the tip of the iceberg of the human civilization. But even this tip of the iceberg was enough to convince him. Everyone took a deep breath. No wonder so many geniuses looked down on them. Compared to the Central Imperial region, the Xiaolong region was simply incomparable. TSK, TSK, TSK. As expected of the gathering place of the human civilization. This Central Imperial region is boundless. It is divided into 9 stars, and the 9 top forces share the world. They protect the territory of the human race. As expected, they are not just for show. The parrot sighed. Yi Qinghan looked at the parrot, and found that it indeed knew a lot. He suddenly thought of those words it said to the dead spirit, and asked curiously, "You been to the forbidden area?" "That's impossible, right? I haven't been there." "Obviously I haven't been there." "Master, don't think too much. I was just fooling that dead spirit. The forbidden area is such a grand place. How could a little thing like me enter it?" The parrot's face turned serious, and righteously denied it. "Are you fooling me?" Yi Qinghan raised his eyebrows. He didn't believe this thing at all now. "Master, don't worry. I won't fool you. I won't dare to fool you. The parrot looked at Yi Qinghan with a serious face, and expressed its loyalty. Then why is your name written on the stone tablet at the entrance of the forbidden area? Yi Qinghan asked unexpectedly. Since when is there a stone tablet at the entrance of the forbidden area? Why don't I know? The parrot immediately asked. Didn't you say you haven't been there? How do you know there is no stone tablet at the entrance of the forbidden area? Yi Qinghan asked with a cold smile. Inherited memories. You definitely don't understand me. I don't blame you. The parrot smiled embarrassedly. Yi Qinghan didn't want to communicate with the parrot anymore. He wanted to ask it a few questions, but it couldn't give him a proper answer. Now, even if the parrot told him the truth, he wouldn't believe it. Let's go into the city. Maybe we can find some treasures. Yi Qinghan took the lead and stepped into Imperial Abyss City. Once he entered the city, he realized how pale the tip of the iceberg outside was. Imperial Abyss City was well connected. Ancient buildings stood in great numbers. Ancient trees with 10,000 years of life reached into the clouds, obscuring the clouds and moon. It was as if they had their own souls. The branches and leaves swayed with the wind, carrying the Tao of heaven and earth, wanting to soar into the sky. The beautiful Imperial Abyss City was mesmerizing with a single glance. The streets were filled with beautiful women and countless handsome men. Many Tao companions walked side by side. Disciples of ancient aristocratic families could be seen everywhere. Some families could even be traced back to the primordial era. Their foundations and temperaments were completely different. There were many loose cultivators selling medicinal pills and spiritual treasures on both sides of the street. Large amounts of demon cores were placed on the table, and they didn't have to worry about being robbed at all. Countless treasures containing ancient auras were rusty, making it hard to tell whether they were treasures or trash. The parrot's eyes were shining, almost widening. It couldn't help but swallow its saliva. It wanted nothing more than to take away all the treasures it saw. Hey, handsome, how much are these things? The parrot directly rushed to a stall and asked the stall owner. Its eyes were wandering, making it hard to tell what treasures it had taken a fancy to. Yi Qinghan knew that anything that could tempt the parrot was definitely a treasure, so he followed it. The stall owner was an uncle who looked to be 34 years old. He looked very burly, with a stocky build and a strong killing intent. Clearly, he was someone who often killed. Young man, these treasures were all obtained by this seat through life and death experiences. If you like anything, just say it. I don't cheat anyone, and the price is fair. The middle-aged man's voice was vigorous and incomparably deep, giving people a kind of solid feeling. Hey, the real owner is here. Are you looking down on this divine bird? How much is this trash? The parrot had a look of anger. It pointed at a rusty scroll and said loudly. The middle-aged man's face darkened. He said with dissatisfaction, "What trash? These things are all treasures I obtained from ancient tombs. Some of them are older than your ancestors and contain the glorious history of the human race. Little thing, don't speak blindly if you don't know anything." Okay. These are treasures. I lack a pillow when I sleep at night. How much is this treasure? I want to buy it and use it as a pillow. The parrot said proudly. Fellow Taoist, is this your pet? The middle-aged man was somewhat angry. He felt that he had been played by the parrot. Since it has taken a fancy to it, I'll have to trouble Senior to give me a price. If it's suitable, I'll buy it. Yi Qinghan said indifferently. This scroll is an ancient object. It's definitely a treasure. Unfortunately, I don't know how to open it. I can't sell it. If fellow Taoist wants to buy it, I'll give you 1,000 top-grade crystals. No bargaining. The middle-aged man said in a serious tone. 1,000. You said that you can't open it, and you're still selling it at such a high price. I just think that it's suitable for a pillow. 100 top-grade crystals. Are you selling it? The parrot was dissatisfied and began to bargain. I can't open it, but it doesn't mean that it's not a treasure. Be sincere. 800 top-grade crystals. If fellow Taoist likes it, you can take it. The middle-aged man was speechless. Yi Qinghan hadn't even said a word, but this lowly bird had begun to nag, which made him upset. 300 top-grade crystals. Are you selling it? If not, I'm leaving. The parrot threatened. Yi Qinghan rolled his eyes. He didn't know whether the parrot had taken a fancy to this treasure or not. 500 crystals. Absolutely not less. If you sincerely want to buy it, then take it. The middle-aged man was also drunk. He was haggling with a parrot. Master, pay the bill. The parrot grabbed the scroll and rolled it away. A golden light flashed and the scroll was put away by it. Yi Qinghan exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. He put down the 500 top-grade crystals and walked to the second stall. There were stalls everywhere. All of them were for adventurers who had returned from dangerous places. They had obtained treasures but couldn't use them. They had set up stalls here, hoping to exchange them for things they needed. Yi Qinghan and the others' eyes shone with a golden light. They felt that these things were all good things. They were dazzled. Here are the crystals. Buy whatever you like. Yi Qinghan generously gave more than 10 universe rings to everyone, which were filled with crystals. They had not only slaughtered hundreds of families in Xiaolong region, but also took away their thousands or even tens of thousands of years of savings. Now, they didn't have much, but they had enough crystals. Yi Mengshi and the others also had plenty of crystals. After all, they had cheated more than 10,000 top-grade crystals from Xiahou Chen and the others. With enough crystals, they spread out and began to buy crazily. Everyone was stunned by this group of little guys. They threw out tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of mid-grade crystals without any hesitation. They immediately called out to them, wishing that they could use the best treasures to attract them. The parrot led the way. It didn't show any emotion after it had taken a fancy to a treasure. It made a diversion and lowered the price to the lowest. Everyone was impressed by this parrot that knew how to bargain. Yi Qinghan glanced at countless treasures, trying to find something that he really liked. After all, the things that the parrot took a fancy to were rare and strange. They might not be practical. After a long time, Yi Qinghan stopped at a stall and stared at a jade pendant. There was a lifelike golden dragon mark on it. There was nothing special about it. However, the divine martial emperor code in his sea of consciousness suddenly became restless. It kept flipping the pages, wanting to devour the jade pendant. Chapter 202. The jade pendant looked beautiful and didn't have anything special about it. However, the divine martial imperial code kept flipping until it stopped at the space chapter. The space chapter was filled with space patterns and was difficult to understand. Even after flipping to this part, Yi Qinghan still found it hard to comprehend. His cultivation level was too low. If he read too much, it would affect his soul. Yi Qinghan held the jade pendant and felt a cool sensation spread throughout his body. The golden dragon mark seemed to swim around his palm and returned to the jade pendant. Then, the golden dragon swam around and formed a huge whirlpool in the jade pendant. It directly pulled Yi Qinghan's soul into the jade pendant. Yi Qinghan was shocked. Before he could resist, he entered a separate space. The space was filled with red flowers and green willows. Mountains, rivers, and waterfalls hung from the 9 heavens. The golden dragon flew in the sky and roared continuously. The space law here was abnormally dense. The patterns seemed to be imprinted in his mind. Oh no, I'm still on the street. Yi Qinghan was shocked. If he was enlightened on the street, everyone would know that this jade pendant was a treasure. His soul was highly concentrated. He used the divine martial imperial code to suppress the golden dragon and stop it from tearing his soul. When the golden dragon stopped, Yi Qinghan immediately took out the jade pendant. Seeing the stall owner's bright eyes, he knew that the other party would take the opportunity to increase the price. With a flash of inspiration, he tied the jade pendant on a jade string and hung it around Emperor Ye's neck. He kept looking at it, giving people the impression that he was only interested in this jade pendant to buy an ornament for Emperor Yi. Yes, it's just as so. Emperor Yi isn't someone who can be complimented by such an ordinary item. The parrot shook its head. It wasn't clear if it did it on purpose. It pointed at a black lamp and shouted, "Master, this is a treasure. Don't buy that trash jade pendant. Little parrot, don't talk nonsense if you don't know anything. The items in my stall are all from ancient tombs. Every item has 1,000 years of history." The stall owner rebuked angrily. "Are you kidding me? Profiteer, there are only a few things here that have a history of 1,000 years. The rest are all fakes. Don't think that I can't see through you just because you put some mud on them." The parrot said disdainfully. Yi Qinghan raised his head and looked at the stall owner. He had a shifty-eyed appearance and was very young. Yi Qinghan estimated that he was in his 20s. However, he was already a great martial honor. Yi Qinghan could not help but feel astonished. At this moment, the Martial Highness's face was filled with anger as he glared at the parrot, wishing he could slap it to death. Then, he pretended to be angry as he looked at Yi Qinghan and said coldly, "Fellow Taoist, your pet is spouting nonsense. How am I supposed to do business like this?" In fact, this great martial saint was feeling quite guilty because what the parrot had said was true. Most of the things in the stall were trash, or things that he could not understand. He had bought them from others at a low price, or he had dug up other people's graves and found funerary items, then sold them at a high price. Ha ha ha, fellow Taoist, as a martial honorable, how could you lower yourself to the same level as a parrot? Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed. He took off the jade pendant and casually put it aside. He pretended to be uninterested and turned around to leave. "Wait, fellow Taoist, the little girl beside you is so pure. This jade pendant is most suitable for her to wear. It's not expensive either. Buy it, I'll give you a 20% discount." The stall owner immediately became anxious. He had been waiting for such a long time for business, how could he let a lowly bird ruin it? How many spirit crystals is a 20% discount? Don't take this divine bird for a fool. The parrot disdainfully mocked. "You lowly bird, will you die if you don't speak?" The stall owner was furious. He waved his hand and took out a brick to intimidate the parrot. The parrot trembled all over and quickly closed its mouth. Then, it hit on Yi Qinghan's shoulder. Yi Qinghan faintly smiled and looked at the brick. It looked very similar to Shi Ji's brick, but it lacked an ancient charm. "Fellow Taoist, since you've taken a fancy to this jade pendant, I'll sell it to you at a 20% discount. 8,000 upper-grade spirit crystals. Moreover, you've already touched it, so I can't sell it. You must buy it," the stall owner said in a domineering manner. The surrounding stalls suddenly burst into a discussion. Some of them looked at Yi Qinghan with ridicule. "Kai Dafu is forcing people to buy and sell. TSK, this group of people is going to be unlucky. They're going to pay a lot of money. Forget it. Acquaintances know that they can't go to his stall. This young man is acting recklessly. Isn't he looking for someone to blackmail him? The brick gang is not to be trifled with. Look over there, more than 10 people are waiting. If that young man doesn't want to buy it, they'll definitely surround him," several stall owners whispered for fear of offending Kai Dafu. Yi Qinghan raised his eyebrows and looked at Kai Dafu. He didn't know what a jade pendant was, but it was already worth 8,000 upper-grade spirit crystals with a 20% discount. If he knew that it was a treasure, wouldn't it be worth 80,000 upper-grade spirit crystals? Fuck. You're greedier than me. A broken jade pendant actually costs 8,000 upper-grade spirit crystals. Do you think we're idiots? The parrot asked angrily. I'll give you 8 upper-grade spirit crystals. Sell it or not. 8? Do you think I'm a beggar? Also, I told you to shut up. If you dare to say more, I'll beat you to death. Kai Dafu threatened. Yi Qinghan shook his head. He could still hear the discussions between the stall owners. This Kai Dafu definitely had some accomplices behind him who specialized in extorting outsiders. Whoosh! In an instant, more than 10 great martial venerables appeared. Everyone's cultivation was much stronger than that of an ordinary great martial venerable. They surrounded Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi in the center. Hey, boy, you broke the treasure, but you don't want to take responsibility? The strongest leader of the group asked coldly. Fellow cultivators, if you want to sell something, you have to give me a suitable price. Forcing people to buy and sell is unrealistic for me. If you want to fight, I can accompany you to the end. Yi Qinghan said coldly. Oh, boy, you're new here, right? You don't know the name of the Brick Gang, right? Another young man sneered. This group of people were all peripheral members of the Brick Gang. They had no source of income and relied on grave robbing and extorting for a living. They were all people who fought without regard for their lives. Yi Qinghan sneered and said domineeringly, I'll give you 10,000 middle-grade jade pendants. If you want to sell it, then sell it. If you don't want to sell it, then get out of my way and let me leave. The price suddenly dropped from 8 high-grade jade pendants to 10,000 middle-grade jade pendants, which was equivalent to 1 high-grade jade pendant. One offered 8,000 while the other offered 1 high-grade jade pendant. It gave the impression that one did not want to sell and the other did not want to buy. If you don't take out 8,000 high-grade jade pendants today, don't even think about leaving here. You broke my treasure, so you have to pay for it. Kai Dafu sneered. 1 high-grade jade pendant, I won't give a second price. Yi Qinghan said again. One was more unyielding than the other. Neither side was willing to back down. The leader of the group was the first to release his aura and suppress Yi Qinghan. Some people slowly approached Yi Qinghan, wanting to take them away by force. Swoosh! Yi Qinghan summoned his heavy berserk blade and released a murderous aura. He grabbed Emperor Yi with his other hand and turned around to look at the crowd coldly. His whole body was dark and extremely cold. Thud, 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 the crowd was shocked by Yi Qinghan's cold murderous aura and took a few steps back. Emperor Yi suddenly opened his eyes. His terrifying eyes were like a black hole, bringing with them a destructive aura. Boom! One of the young men was caught off guard and was hit in the chest by the destructive light. A large amount of destructive aura suppressed his vitality and sent him flying dozens of meters away. He fell to the other side of the street and screamed in terror. He wanted to put out the destructive fire, but everywhere he touched burned. Kai Dafu was shocked and took a few steps back. He looked at Emperor Ye's eyes in horror and felt like he was being stared at by a supreme evil spirit. Emperor Yi slowly closed his eyes and the destructive aura dispersed. The young man was almost killed by the destructive aura. His face was pale and he was trembling. Can you give me a suitable price now? Yi Qinghan asked coldly. Yes. Absolutely, 8 pieces of upper grade. It's definitely suitable. I spent 8 pieces of upper grade to buy it from someone else. Kai Dafu quickly said without thinking. Yi Qinghan grinned and laughed. He waved his hand and threw 8 pieces of upper grade to the stall. He took the jade pendant and left with Emperor Yi. The dozen or so revered martial artists retreated. They were not afraid of Yi Qinghan, but they were afraid that Emperor Yi would open his eyes. What kind of creature's eyes are those? So terrifying. It makes me feel like I've entered a forbidden area and met an evil spirit. You'll die if you meet an evil spirit. How can you still be standing here? A few stall owners saw Emperor Ye's peripheral vision and were so scared that their bodies turned cold. Go and check the background of these two people. Fuck, we've been scammed by outsiders. Kai Dafu seemed to be the leader of these people. He coldly looked at Yi Qinghan and Emperor Ye's backs and trembled. He was afraid that Emperor Yi would turn around and look at him. Boss. Ha ha ha, forget it. That little girl's eyes are so terrifying. I felt like I was going to die just now. The young man who was attacked by Emperor Yi was trembling and his teeth were chattering. He was obviously frightened. The quarrel here did not affect other people's rush to buy. They wantonly bought treasures. Many rogue cultivators did not bully them because they were children. The prices were set by them from the beginning. They were even a little cheaper. Yi Qinghan did not care about what others were buying. He kept looking at the jade pendant with trembling fingers. Master, what kind of treasure is this? The parrot asked curiously. I don't know. It should be related to space law. I'll go back and study it. Yi Qinghan put away the jade pendant and spread out his divine sense. He could not help but sneer when he knew that Kai Dafu and the others were planning to rob him. An hour later, a group of people gathered in front of a restaurant. The fragrance was so strong that it made people salivate. Let's go and try the delicacies of the imperial domain. Yi Qinghan led a group of people in. There were many people in the restaurant. There were rogue cultivators, powerful hunters, and young masters and young ladies of rich families. They only glanced at Yi Qinghan and the others and did not pay attention to them. A private room cost 100 high-grade crystals. No one would go to a private room if they had nothing better to do. Yi Qinghan also chose to stay in the hall. He found 2 tables close to each other. The group sat down and looked at the prices on the menu. They were speechless. However, they still ordered a table full of delicacies. They were all the most delicious food in the endless universe. They contained a lot of energy and spirit power. They could quickly strengthen one's blood and chi and help one's cultivation. A meal cost 100 high-grade crystals. It was worth it. Everyone in the restaurant was talking. Most of them were about the Golden Age. Yi Qinghan listened carefully. This information was very important. The Golden Age has opened. Many years ago, experts gathered in the imperial domain. I heard that the 9 major forces have started to fight for geniuses. In 2 months, the entire endless universe will be boiling. A young man in embroidered clothes said. His voice was not loud, but everyone in the hall heard him clearly. This sentence ignited the atmosphere in the restaurant. Everyone joined in the discussion loudly. Chapter 203. The Golden Era would always be a hot topic for the youngsters. It would make their blood boil. Countless geniuses would rise and then fall. Only the truly terrifying existences would step on the corpses and advance forward. They would walk to the supreme peak and become the human emperor. They would unify the 8 desolate lands, conquer the forbidden lands, and wipe out the traitors and evil spirits. Yi Qinghan secretly noted the names of these supreme experts. These were the strongest existences of the young generation in the endless cosmos. They even had the bloodline of an ancient true emperor and were peerlessly powerful. Right now, the 9 great powers are trying to attract geniuses. Fake emperors are taking in disciples. Which power do you think these supreme existences will join? It doesn't matter which power they join, the important thing is whether they will accept followers or not. To be a follower of a future quasi-emperor, this is a great honor. These unruly geniuses wanted to become followers of these geniuses. One could see how terrifying their battle prowess was. Yi Qinghan received some news. The group was about to leave after eating and drinking to their heart's content. Suddenly, the heaven and earth rumbled as a golden light pierced through the 8 decimalaces. The majestic imperial aura caused everyone's expression to greatly change. Imperial Edict. Imperial Edict, the golden era is about to begin. The spatial gates are awakening and geniuses are gathering in the imperial domain. The great clans are recruiting disciples for a period of 10 years. Do not miss this opportunity. 9 huge flags flew across the universe in 9 different directions. On each flag were the words, Imperial Edict, written in golden light. Majestic voices pierced through the heavens as they kept repeating the words, Imperial Edict. The endless universes quickly received the news. Terrifying geniuses crossed the universe and appeared. They stepped toward the region gates that had been sealed for a long time. When the region gates opened, they would head to the imperial domain. Yi Qinghan's group crazily rushed out and saw a corner of the imperial edict. A supreme treasure flashed as they rushed out of the imperial domain. The 9 great powers sent out 9 powerful quasi-emperors to activate the grand formation and jointly issue the imperial edict. The endless great cosmos was in an uproar. 9 great quasi-emperors. What kind of power was this? Being able to see even one of them was a supreme honor. If they could be summoned, they would definitely be able to break through their shackles and advance further. There was a big difference between pseudo-emperors and quasi-emperors. True emperors and quasi-emperors were qualitatively different. The world could see quasi-emperors but not quasi-emperors. Everyone knew that quasi-emperors and quasi-emperors were on the same level but not the difference. Yi Qinghan knew that the difference between pseudo-emperors and quasi-emperors was in terms of cultivation. Half-step grand emperors were divided into 9 levels. The first level to the 5th level were pseudo-emperors. Only those above the 5th level were considered true quasi-emperors. Quasi-emperors could instantly kill pseudo-emperors while true emperors could instantly kill quasi-emperors. This was the difference. Everyone raised their heads and looked at the 9 quasi-emperors in the sky. Their eyes were filled with reverence as they all knelt down. The 9 thearchs did not appear in person. Once the imperial edict was issued, the illusory figures dissipated. All the major forces moved out and started to announce their recruitment criteria to attract more geniuses. The 9 great powers were extremely tyrannical and represented the human race. There are countless cultivators, but how many real men can shed their blood on the battlefield and fight against all the geniuses to reach the peak? Only I, the hunter, have hunted down countless geniuses of the demon race, protect the elites of the human race, kill the evil spirits, and kill the traitors. The hunter qualification examination will begin in half a month. Are you all ready to ignite the flames of anger in your hearts and incinerate the endless injustice? Are you all ready to break the shackles of the Grand Tao and achieve eternal glory? The majesty of the divine martial experts was monstrous. Their voices shook the mountains and rivers as they looked down on the heroes of the world. They mobilized their blood energy and infused it with righteousness. In this life, no one didn't want to be a hunter. This organization did not restrict one's identity and allowed one to have a second identity at the same time. No other organization could resist the charm of this power. Therefore, the hunters had been the #1 power of the human race since the wildlands. We are ready. We beg the organization for the examination. We swear that we will fight for a place for the human race in the endless universe. We will fight for the human race until the last drop of blood is shed. We hunters can be found everywhere in the endless universe. As long as the human race needs us, we will die at any time. This was part of the loyalty oath to become a hunter. Countless elites said it in unison. Their voices shook the sky and made their blood boil. They wished they could soar into the sky and die for the human race. Heroes. The human race needed heroes. They were not stupid. No one was willing to die in battle at a young age. However, the human race needed heroes who were not afraid of death. Without these heroes, the entire human race would have been annihilated in history. They were unruly, they were crazy, they looked down on all living beings. They were worthy of respect. Yi Qinghan clenched his iron fist. Hunter, this was his goal. Gu Qingyu took a deep breath. He held his sword and gazed at the divine martial expert. He was a 5-star existence with great vicissitudes of life. No one knew what he was thinking, but there was no doubt that his goal in this life was to become a 9-star hunter. The human race needs you. Let us hunt for glory in this life. There will come a day when you have the qualifications to stabilize the most powerful force in the wildlands. That is the ancient killing god. The divine martial expert announced the true existence behind the hunters. Ancient killing god. This tyrannical and terrifying name was filled with a murderous aura. It was as if a supreme existence was stepping on countless corpses and bones. He had his back to the common people, fighting for the human race and killing all darkness. The Golden Age had begun. The ancient killing god had decided to tear off the veil and reveal himself. He had appeared at the forefront of the human race. Their reputation as the strongest faction since the savage desolate Aeon was not undeserved. The 9 false emperors were all 7-star hunters, and the 3 quasi-emperors were all 8-star hunters. They had experienced countless tribulations and escaped countless encirclements to reach their current glory. Any one of them could cause the heavens to tremble. Senior, why did you suddenly announce the Golden Age? Could it be that the ancient emperor bloodline is about to completely recover? Someone asked excitedly. That's right. The Golden Age only occurs once every 10,000 years. Every time, the prodigies would come out to fight for the true emperor's throne. Now that it's so peaceful and even the emperor's son hasn't appeared, isn't it too early to announce the Golden Age? There were Battle King level existences everywhere, but there weren't many youngsters who could sweep through everything and become a resplendent new star that illuminated the imperial domain. There were no signs of a Golden Age at all, yet they suddenly announced the beginning of a Golden Age. It was indeed puzzling. Whether the Golden Age is about to begin or not is not something we can decide. The quasi-emperors naturally have their reasons for joining hands to start the Golden Age. We only need to wait for the good news. There will definitely be someone who will stand out and become a brilliant new star. They will lead the prodigies to trample the stars and revitalize the human race. The divine martial expert said in a deep voice. Others didn't know why the Golden Age was suddenly about to begin, but Yi Qinghan and the others knew. It must be because of the golden bloodline Si Wuxia and Emperor Yi. With these 2 people, it was enough to start the Golden Age. Moreover, there was also the unknown great emperor's Dao fruit. This time, the quasi-emperors didn't announce the list of future human emperors. Therefore, it could be you or them. Therefore, everyone has a chance to stand out and become the future human emperors. The divine martial expert's voice was full of enthusiasm. That's right, the quasi-emperors didn't announce the list of future human emperors. This meant that everyone had a chance. Who wasn't a battle king? Who didn't have a chance? It was all because of the assessment of the major forces. Being able to stand out was the first step to becoming the human emperor. Outside Emperor Abyss City, there was a hubbub of voices. The 9 major forces sat side by side. Only the ancient massacre god was talking. Everyone was waiting. The ancient massacre god was the #1 force, and no one could be compared to them. They also couldn't compete for the young talents. In fact, some forces even secretly curried favor with the upper echelons of the ancient massacre god in order to recruit the best disciples. The ancient massacre god was in the center, surrounded by 8 major forces. They were the Heavenly Dragon Sacred Dynasty, Zhan Family's Dao Realm, Xianyuan Dao Realm, Eternal Cloud Holy Ground, Heavenly Palace's Divine Martial Family, Heavenly Devil Palace, Heaven's Secret Sect, and Divine Physique Bloodline Holy Ground. On the surface, these 8 forces weren't as strong as the ancient massacre god. However, if they were to compare, none of them were pushovers. Especially the divine physique bloodline holy ground. This was a freak organization. All the experts with special physiques and high-grade bloodlines gathered together to form a huge alliance. Apart from the younger generation, the weakest among them was at the divine martial realm. When they attacked, they would definitely trigger a heaven-shaking phenomenon. The reason why these special physiques formed this alliance was to protect themselves. Their bloodlines were extremely high-grade, and countless existences drooled over them. They wanted to steal their source. Therefore, all the special physiques and high-grade bloodlines that had matured would join this alliance to protect the monstrous geniuses that hadn't matured yet. The princes and princesses had all cultivated in this holy ground. There were some special humans whose bloodlines were even more high-grade. They weren't all humans, but they weren't accepted by the myriad races. They could only rely on the human race. They were all in this divine physique bloodline holy ground. They were a group of their own that didn't fit in with the other forces. For example, the Zhan family's Tao realm might seem a little weak. However, if their bloodline reached ancestral awakening, then all special physiques would have to stand aside. However, this type of physique was too rare. It was even rarer than the Zither immortal Crimson Demon physique. There was only one such person in all of history. Therefore, everyone had forgotten about this special physique. However, their bloodline was still the royal bloodline of the human race. No one dared to blaspheme it. To be able to become one of the 9 great forces, none of them were weak. It was just a matter of time before their bloodline reached ancestral awakening. Once it reached ancestral awakening, they would definitely soar to the heavens and become a true great emperor. Moreover, the true great emperor bloodline clans of the human race hadn't appeared yet. This was because they didn't need to accept disciples. They only needed to nurture their own bloodline. They believed that their own bloodline was the highest grade. However, their bloodline was indeed terrifying. How could an emperor bloodline be weak? At this moment, they were all quietly watching, waiting for the true peerless geniuses to appear. Once they appeared, they would all attack to snatch them. Yi Qinghan didn't understand these clans and powerful forces, but he was still very confident in the ancient killing god behind this hunter. After all, their oath had made his blood boil. True elites of the hunters rarely betrayed them. Moreover, they had Emperor Killer behind them. Therefore, he didn't want to show off his strength. He also didn't want his disciples to be snatched by others. If someone had evil intentions and destroyed the golden bloodline, it would definitely be a great tragedy for the human race. Therefore, Yi Qinghan slowly led his disciples away from Emperor Abyss City. He prepared to return to his palace to cultivate for half a month and wait patiently for the hunter test. Chapter 204. It has already been 10 days since the imperial edict was issued. The Emperor Abyss City was now filled with people. Countless elites came through the space gates and arrived here. Most of them were war kings of their respective regions. The universe was boundless, it was unknown how many star regions there were and how many races there were. There were some weaker races that depended on the human race to survive, and the geniuses they nurtured were not to be underestimated. Whoosh! With a flash of golden light, a young man walked on the wind. His green robe fluttered in the wind, and he looked extremely confident. His vigorous chi suppressed everyone. With a wave of his hand, he caused the laws to shake and the great Tao to submit. His eyes were filled with disdain as he looked down on everyone. Even the cultivators of the divine martial realm felt pressured when they looked at him. It's Lin Aoqiong. His speed is unparalleled in both ancient and modern times, far surpassing the other princes. He is known as one of the future emperors of the human race, a peerless genius. The first emperor-level existence has appeared. Everyone discussed in low voices. Even the battle kings of a region looked at him with reverence in their eyes. This kind of person was born to prove his Tao. When will the hunter assessment begin? Lin Aoqiong's eyes were like stars. He didn't pay attention to the others. He looked at the ancient godly massacre god and said in a powerful voice. Haha, so it's fellow Taoist Lin. There are only 5 days left before it opens. Could it be that fellow Taoist wants to join the ranks of the hunters? The divine martial expert was overjoyed. The younger generation of emperor-level cultivators disdained to join large organizations. They all fought their own battles. One person could stop 10,000 heroes, so why would they need a background to support them? Lin Aoqiong nodded. In this golden age, the more resources one had, the more confidence one would have in achieving Tao attainment. Fellow Taoist Lin, are you interested in joining the Divine Body Bloodline Sacred Land? Grand Venerable Wu asked Lin Aoqiong. My clan's boundary emperor is about to come out of seclusion to accept a disciple. Why don't you give it a try, fellow Taoist Lin? Who knows, you might be able to receive some pointers. The Zhan clan's Zhan Tianyun extended an olive branch, hoping to obtain this genius. Lin Aoqiong's talent was evident from the fact that the 8 major forces had extended an olive branch to him. At the very least, he could become a fake emperor. Fake emperors were still emperors. Which one of them wasn't a peerless talent? If any faction had a false emperor, they would be able to maintain their glory for thousands of years. A person of this level was worthy of the 9 factions fighting for. Lin Aoqiong was cold and aloof. In this life, he was here to prove his Tao. How could he ask for guidance from others? Thank you for looking up to me, but I have no intention of joining the organization for the time being. I just want to get the title of a hunter. After Lin Aoqiong finished speaking, he turned around and left. He seemed to be moving very slowly, but he suddenly disappeared from everyone's sight. The space around him did not fluctuate at all. Therefore, he had left using his speed and not the space laws. Many geniuses were excited. This kind of genius was an existence that could truly step onto the path of Tao validation. Many people's Tao hearts were directly crushed by this kind of existence. They couldn't accept that an existence at the same level could be so terrifying. How can there be such a powerful great revered martial artist? Unbelievable. Such an existence should have comprehended quite a few grand Tao laws, right? I've heard that Lin Aoqiong has already started to practice his lesser mystique. Sigh, it's so frustrating to compare oneself to others. Come to think of it, all of us are warlords, but compared to Lin Aoqiong, we're not even worthy to carry his shoes. Divine powers and secret skills were top-notch secret skills created by the Great Way Principle and Origin. They were collectively called divine powers. There were great divine powers and small divine powers and secret skills. They were extremely overbearing and had unparalleled attacks. Once a person comprehended a divine powers and secret skills, even if it was a small divine powers, he would be able to look down on his peers. It was almost impossible for a great martial honored realm cultivator to comprehend such a secret skill, except for a few imperial princes and princesses with imperial bloodlines, or people with imperial bloodlines like the Golden Bloodline, who were born emperors and had inherited memories. When they reached the Tao Master realm, they would be able to fight across realms. Yi Qinghan did not know that Lin Aoqiong had appeared and was going to participate in the assessment. His arrival meant that the difficulty of the assessment had increased by several times. This was because Lin Aoqiong's participation in the assessment would attract countless experts of the same level to participate in the assessment. The number of hunters was limited. Although the number of people participating in the assessment had increased, the number of spots remained the same. The competition would definitely be extremely bloody. At this moment, Yi Qinghan had already entered a state of cultivation. He had been diligently practicing the law of gravity for 10 days. Even someone as gifted as Huang Xiaohu had only reached the peak of the minor completion in the law of gravity. However, Yi Qinghan had reached this level with just his mortal body. On this day, Yi Qinghan took out the jade pendant. The divine martial imperial code became restless again and flipped pages continuously. The sea of sufferings surged with monstrous waves and chaos poured out. It was as if the universe was being born. Countless stars exploded and turned into fireworks. The law of space was dry and boring. It was filled with veins and incomprehensible runes. An ordinary soul spirit would be injured just by looking at the runes. However, Yi Qinghan was absorbing it like a thirst. He used his soul spirit to touch the veins and incomprehensible runes. Strands of divine power were vast and mighty. His soul spirit was exhausted and he wanted to fall asleep. However, the more he looked at it, the clearer the space became. Space was eternal and also opposites. When one's understanding of the law of space reached the peak, legend had it that one could travel to the ancient, immemorial, and even the desolate era. One could also travel to the future era. However, there had never been anyone at this level. Even if a true great emperor were to descend, he would not be able to travel through the endless space and enter another era, let alone return to the desolate era. Yi Qinghan's consciousness was once again dragged into the space by the golden dragon. The space here was abnormally clear and was completely folded. However, consciousness could not penetrate it. If one could penetrate the space, they would be able to use the law of space to travel from one point to another in an instant. Those who could use the law of space to teleport were all almighties who had a terrifying understanding of the law of space. Wherever their consciousness passed, they would be able to reach in an instant. At this stage, distance was no longer a problem. The problem was how strong one's consciousness was. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath. This kind of alternate space was definitely a treasure for cultivating the law of space. Until now, he had never heard of a place where the space was folded so clearly. His soul spirit evolved into a small person that was just like a real person. He reached out his hand to touch the space barrier. The barrier was useless against physical objects. However, the consciousness could not penetrate it. It was like a wall that blocked the path of the consciousness. How to use the consciousness to penetrate the space barrier had become the most important thing at this moment. Yi Qinghan had completely given up on defense. He wholeheartedly immersed his soul spirit into this space to comprehend and use the law of space. The runes of the divine martial imperial codex released a powerful wave and instantly caused Yi Qinghan to vomit blood. His soul spirit was dispirited and was pushed out of the jade pendant by the law of space. The jade pendant became dull and lifeless as though it was about to dissipate. Yi Qinghan frowned and did not dare to test it again. If such a treasure disappeared for no reason, it would be a waste. Some treasures were not one-time consumables, but they could not be used infinitely either. Such treasures might be consumables that could support the soul spirit of an expert to enter a few times. However, they would dissipate after a few times. Yi Qinghan thought to himself and decided to temporarily give up on comprehending the law of space. He would wait until his soul spirit entered the immortal realm before trying again. That's not right. This jade pendant has vitality. Every time I enter, it will consume a portion of its vitality. Now that I have entered it for the second time, it has become dull and on the verge of shattering. If I use the water origin to nourish it, I might be able to use it infinitely. Yi Qinghan's brows twitched. The water origin was the source of life. As long as something had vitality, it could nourish it. The water origin, appear. Yi Qinghan waved his hand and used the ultimacy to transfer the water origin around him. It transformed into a tiny heavenly dragon that circled around the jade pendant. It formed a yin-yang diagram with the golden dragon and spun continuously. The jade pendant shone brightly and the water origin was forcefully sucked into the space. It intertwined with the golden heavenly dragon and the yin-yang diagram became clearer. Hiss. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath and looked at the golden heavenly dragon. His eyes shone brightly and he was instantly excited. This is the metal origin. If I can comprehend the metal origin's ultimacy, not only will I be able to attack, I will also be able to obtain the metal origin Tao body. Yi Qinghan's palms were sweating. In his previous life, his cultivation was powerful and he had read an article about the origin Tao body in the Imperial God Martial Arts Codex. It described how to create a divine body. With the metal origin Tao body as the foundation, one's physical body could be molded into an indestructible divine body. Then, one could forcefully plunder the wood, water, fire, earth, thunder, and other origins into the body to create the 9 transformation Tao body. With the 9 transformation Tao body as the foundation, one could turn the physical body into the most terrifying divine body. Then, one could forcefully absorb the chaos of the great Tao and cultivate for countless years to refine the physical body into the 9 transformation Tao body. This kind of body was enough to be the best in history and was not inferior to the golden bloodline or the war race battle physique. If one could plunder the origin bloodline of countless elite special Tao bodies, one's physical body would become stronger with every bloodline origin of the Tao body. With the physical body, one would be immortal and their physical body indestructible. Their soul would be hidden in their physical body and they would be in the world for eternity. The metal origin is the rarest origin in the world. It is actually sealed in the jade pendant. Yi Qinghan was shocked. The origin was indeed the origin. It was not like the profound meanings that could be comprehended. It was real, just like a physical object. Perhaps one could be born every 10,000 years. This jade pendant actually contained so much metal origin. It was enough for him to create the metal origin Tao body. It was a pity that he could not forcefully devour the metal origin now. Otherwise, if the jade pendant were to shatter, it would be almost impossible to find another place with spatial folds. The mortal body has always been a barrier for me to break through the shackles of the great Tao. Once I have the metal origin Tao body, I will definitely be able to achieve the 9 transformation divine body. Then, I will create the 9 transformation Tao body. Finally, I will use my physical body to prove my Tao. Yi Qinghan slowly stood up. With a wave of his hand, the jade pendant was stored in a separate interspatial ring. His aura became overbearing, as if an emperor had descended. Master! Come out quickly. The assessment is tomorrow. You must not miss it, Stan Wuxia shouted. Yi Qinghan faintly smiled. He pushed open the door and walked out. His appearance was dignified. His temperament had undergone an earth-shattering change. His bones were filled with confidence. Brother Yi, did you achieve any results from your closed-door training? Muyo Tianqian appeared, smiling as he looked at Yi Qinghan. I can't say that I achieved any results, but I discovered a lot. Tianqian is so confident. How confident are you in passing the hunter assessment? Yi Qinghan indifferently asked. Muyo Tianqian was invincible among his peers. In addition, he had a 1-page scripture and was a great revered martial artist. At this moment, his combat strength was even more terrifying than Yi Qinghan's. If his luck was good, the hunter assessment would be very easy. However, Yi Qinghan had some doubts. Could this extremely unlucky guy really pass the assessment? If he encountered an emperor-level existence in his first battle, that would be depressing. This, cough cough, I won't say it. My luck is very bad. Good things don't come true, but bad things do. Muyo Tianqian shook his head. The two of them brought Stan Wuxia to the main hall. They found that everyone was here, discussing tomorrow's hunter assessment. Chapter 205. Countless geniuses appeared in the ancient killing gods' territory. Each of them had a powerful aura, and their battle intent was monstrous. Those who didn't have a strong Tao heart couldn't bear it at all when they met someone who was much more terrifying than them. They were like flowers in a greenhouse, unable to withstand a single blow. Yi Qinghan and the others sped towards the hunter hall. It was rare to see a group with uneven cultivation. Some of them were still at the Fate Palace realm, but there was a little guy who was already a hunter. Such a group attracted the attention of everyone, and there was a lot of discussion. Which hidden family are these little guys from? There's actually a hunter. He's only 12 or 13 years old, right? Is he an emperor? Many people stared at Wuxia. He had a head of golden hair and eyes that were as vast and powerful as the sun. It was obvious that he wasn't a simple character. Ha ha ha, there's also a mortal little guy. This is a strange group. The highest cultivation is only a great martial venerable. They must be here to make up the numbers. Someone laughed and ridiculed, but there wasn't much malice. Yi Qinghan and the others didn't care and just moved forward. Have you found out what the main assessment is? Will we need to go to dangerous places to kill ferocious beasts? Tens of thousands of elites die in the hunter assessment. If you're afraid of death, don't participate in the hunter assessment. Such conversations were endless. Yi Qinghan frowned. He didn't expect the assessment to be so dangerous. It was fine for him to take the risk, but these disciples were still young. Although their talent wasn't very good, their willpower was extremely strong, especially those who were at the 9th level. After hundreds of years of bitter cultivation, it was possible for them to enter the divine martial realm in the future. It was definitely not a wise choice to let them take the risk. Moreover, Taiwa could deal with dead spirits, but it didn't mean that he could deal with ferocious beasts. It was definitely a mistake to bring this group of juniors to participate in a life and death experience. Nangong Qinxue, stay here with the juniors later. You're not allowed to participate in the assessment. Among the younger generation, only Ren Huangyi can participate in this assessment. Yi Qinghan's tone was firm, revealing an irrefutable will. Why? My realm is much higher than hers. Nangong Qinxue was dissatisfied and glared at Yi Qinghan. A high cultivation level doesn't mean a high combat power. Didn't you hear that? Countless battle kings have died in one region. If you go, you'll just be throwing your lives away. Muyo Tianqin's aura turned cold, but the worry in his eyes was clear. He clearly didn't want Nangong Qinxue to be in danger. He then looked at Nangong Xiaobei and said, Xiaobei, don't participate in the exam either. Wait for the next opportunity. No. Even Shirgun Brother Feng can participate, I'm not a little girl. Why can't I participate? Nangong Xiaobei retorted. Muyu Tianqin was silent. Nangong Qinxue and Nangong Xiaobei had grown up with him and he treated them like little brothers and sisters. He always felt that they wouldn't grow up, so he wanted to take care of them. He didn't want them to be involved in danger. The exam this time was extremely dangerous. It was normal for a battle king to die. Let's take a look at the situation first. We'll talk about it after we get the specific test items. Yi Qinghan looked at Nangong Xiaobei. In terms of aptitude, he was very good, but he lacked life and death experiences. He couldn't increase his combat power. There were also benefits in participating in the exam, but the chances of death were very high. The hunter headquarters was the outer force of the ancient killing god. It was majestic and filled with the pressure of the great Tao. Strands of emperors might rush into the clouds along with the emperor array, suppressing the great Tao laws. The spirit qi here was extremely dense, comparable to a paradise. If one cultivated here, they would be able to advance by leaps and bounds. Stone tablets stood in great numbers like a tomb. They were all engraved with names. They were the names of the hunters who had sacrificed themselves for the human race. The dignified aura was incomparably solemn, making people feel reverence. The names engraved here were all ancestors. They had used their blood to create the glory of the human race. Even if the crown prince personally came, he couldn't blaspheme them. Otherwise, he would be mercilessly suppressed. Everyone respectfully bowed and recited the hunter oath in their hearts. Their eyes were filled with a strong fighting spirit and a strong sense of glory as they walked into the martial stage of the hunter headquarters. In the center of the martial stage sat a dignified old man. He looked like a mortal. His white hair fluttered in the wind, and his exuberant blood vitality bore witness to the glory of a hero past his prime. Fake Emperor. Even though he was only a first-layer half-step great emperor, he had still stepped over countless corpses. His body was covered with wounds that couldn't be healed. The scars on his body were shocking. 8 divine martial powerhouses stood in front of him. 100 3-star hunters in killing robes stood in front of him. Their majesty was overwhelming, attracting the awe and yearning of countless people. If one could reach their level in life, they wouldn't have lived in vain. The martial stage was vast and boundless. It could hold at least 1 million people. And at this moment, just on the first day of the exam, more than 100,000 elites had arrived. After tomorrow, there would be even more. It was estimated that the number of people participating in the hunter exam would not be less than 1 million. However, the number of people who could become hunters was at most 2,000. Most of these 2,000 people were occupied by the disciples of the super-aristocratic families. There was no other way. They were strong, had a strong foundation, and could become a disciple of an aristocratic family. Which one of them didn't have a strong destiny? Everyone, please be patient. Listen carefully to the objectives of this exam. A young 4-star hunter stood up and looked down at the crowd. His black hair danced in the wind, and no one dared to resist. To become a 4-star hunter at such a young age, he was definitely a terrifying existence. He might not be any worse than the chief disciple of an ancient aristocratic family. Yi Qinghan stared at the 4-star hunter and listened carefully. The experience of a senior was precious. It could even save one's life sometimes. The first level of the assessment is to enter the danger zone for a month. You have to kill ominous beasts and seize precious medicines. The standard of measurement is contribution points. If you want to enter the second level, then your contribution points must reach the top 100 today. The rest will be eliminated. There is no room for improvement. Before entering the danger zone, you will get a life card. It will be engraved with your name, identity, and cultivation. It has a built-in space. Every time you kill an ominous beast or obtain a precious medicine, take out the demon core and put it into the life card. The life card will automatically determine your contribution points according to the level of the beast and the medicine. It will record your data. Your data will be reflected on the stone tablet in front of you through a special method. Only the top 100 will be selected. You can't kill your own kind. Whoever dares to break the rules will be killed without mercy. This is the rule. Escape skills in the danger zone. If you are not an opponent, then immediately seek help from your own kind if the situation permits. If you feel that you are not an opponent of your own kind, then don't go near them. Instead, choose to find the 3-star hunters who entered the danger zone with you. They will protect you. If you don't have the opportunity to find them, then it will be your end. The rest is a piece of advice for you. The reason it's called a land of peril is because it's truly a land of peril. The mortality rate is extremely high. A battle king of a realm might be amazing in your star field, but I want to tell you that it's nothing special. When I was your age, I could crush 10 opponents like you with one hand. But when I participated in the assessment, I almost died. This is how dangerous the danger zone is. The reason why I am telling you this is to tell you that a hunter does not need a coward. If you want to become a hunter, then you need not only courage, but also strength and luck. So, think carefully before you decide whether to participate in the assessment or not. If you shrink back now, you are not necessarily a coward. You should judge the situation and find a suitable time to go. If you know that you will die but still choose to enter the danger zone, then I can only say that you are stupid, not worthy of respect. Finally, I want to remind you that if your cultivation is not at the peak of the Tao Master level, no matter whether you are a battle king or not, you better not participate in the assessment. Otherwise, you will die. The 4-star hunter looked down at the heroes in an overbearing manner. His words were merciless. However, few people dared to refute him because he was really strong. Even a peak of the Tao master level could not participate in the assessment. How strong the danger in the danger zone was explained in one sentence. Peak of the Tao master level. According to this calculation, Yi Qinghan and the others could not participate in the assessment. Only Gu Qingyu, Mu Yu, Tian Chen, Shi Gu, and Feng Wuxia could participate. However, people like Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi could not be judged by common sense. Now, if you want to participate in the assessment, stay in the square and sign up to receive your life card. If you don't want to participate, immediately leave the square. Nangong Xiaobei was proud. He was also at the peak of the Tao master level. Moreover, he had a supreme treasure that even Mu Yu did not know about. It was the Tiangang God Thunder. There was only one of it, but it could instantly kill an existence of the immortal gate level. Yi Qinghan saw that Nangong Xiaobei was determined and did not force him. He nodded and allowed Nangong Xiaobei to participate in the assessment. However, Nangong Qingyue and the others did not have a chance. Gu Qingyu insisted on taking Lin Wuqian. Yi Qinghan did not stop him. Lin Wuqian was different from others. What he lacked now was life and death experience. In the future, his achievements would not lose to anyone. 1,000 3-star hunters walked out of the hunter headquarters. Each of them held 100 life cards in their hands. They sat in front of the chairs and began to carve life cards for the participants. Yi Qinghan and the others quickly got their life cards and waited for the danger zone to open. A terrifying battle would kill tens of thousands of experts. The death rate was absolutely frightening. After an hour, all the 100,000 participants got their life cards. The 4-star hunters retreated behind the fake emperor and respectfully asked for instructions. "Sir, everything is ready. Please open the danger zone." "Good. Very good. Heavenly Palace God, I am very satisfied with your performance in your first assessment. This is also your opportunity to be promoted to a 5-star hunter. You will lead the team. I hope that the death rate will be lowered. After all, they are all elites. They are worth training." The fake emperor said in a deep voice. Heavenly Palace God had the royal bloodline of the human race. His ancestor was the Heavenly Palace Great Emperor. He once killed his way into the forbidden area alone and killed for traitors. All the experts in the forbidden area were shocked. Heavenly Palace God, as his descendant, had a noble bloodline. His future was limitless. Heavenly Palace God smiled when he heard the half-step Great Emperor's praise. However, he was still very excited when he heard that he could lead the team into the danger zone. This meant that the ancient killing god had begun to test him. If he could be promoted to a 5-star hunter and become a true killing god, he would have the opportunity to become a supreme great emperor and display the glory of his ancestor. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.